Hey everyone, welcome to the 204th episode of the Fake Nerd Podcast. You want to know what's wonderful? Wonder Woman's wonderful. You want to know what's not wonderful? All the DC layoffs and the fact that my AC died today, so I'm now officially roasting in 100-some degree heat. But you know what? That's fine. I'm probably sounding like a big baby right now because Ryan lives that life every single day of his life, and Brandon was lucky enough to get his AC fixed.
You could say
summer!
This is an AC/DC podcast.
Yeah, unfortunately,
changing the title.
Unfortunately, we are all on the highway to hell. I am Ben Magnet. That's Brandon T. McClure, Ryan Eliopoulos, and Sparks Whitty.
This is not a cool summer.
No.
Demi Lovato was wrong. Sorry, Demi. I'm not feeling cool for the summer.
Yeah, my AC was running fine for the week. It was going fine yesterday, and then today I was writing my article for Old School Gamer, and all of a sudden it just died.
For those of you not in Los Angeles, it is currently we are in a week of 100 and something degree weather.
Can I tell you that it is not consistent across the county, because Anaheim was 91 the other day while we were 104.
Mm-hmm.
No.
And I was really mad at Anaheim.
Screw you, Anaheim.
Hey, Ryan,
today,
you shared the thing of a fire tornado this past week.
Yeah, so not only is California now getting tornadoes, but we're getting fire tornadoes because it's just too damn hot.
Yeah, and we have what, 2 wildfires going on right now? Are they still going, or do they contain those?
I'm just gonna assume it's on fire because what else is it?
Yeah.
Last I heard, we had 11 across the state.
Yeah.
Let's see if you guys get this reference. Let's hope it doesn't hit the La Brea tar pits and create a volcano. Anybody get that reference? Volcano, Tommy Lee Jones.
Oh yeah, sorry. No,
Hey Mac,
I see that movie. Hey Mac, thanks for stopping by.
Mac.
Hey, Mac.
Let me tell you,
Volcano was the lesser of the two volcano movies of that year. Dante's Peak.
climate change is real, and we're living it.
Dante's Peak is a great movie. Speaking of climate change, no, that's not relevant because that's about Mount.
That's
Mount
just about
Helen.
Pierce Brosnan versus Volcano.
Real quickly before we get into kind of our week, I do want to mention that in the description below we have a couple of articles. No, a couple of links. We have Ryan did Just Annoyed.
Oh, I was like, I don't write shit. What do you mean?
You did Just Annoyed for Umbrella Academy Season 2.
Yes.
You can find the link to that in the description. Ben has an Old School Gamer magazine article in the link in the description below. And I have an article from my blog about this topic, which was not on purpose because I had finished it before we had decided this. But it is about this topic and kind of my further thoughts on that. That is also in the link in the description below. So a lot of cool stuff there, guys. You should be checking those descriptions. I put some cool stuff down there.
Yeah. I have nothing to plug. I did nothing. I'm not constructive.
If I may start us off because I did so little this week.
You go first, but we'll see.
So I wrote a couple of articles that will come up in the website in the coming weeks. One of them is in the link in the description. But I watched a couple of animated films because I was kind of in the mood for animated Justice League, animated DC. So I watched Justice League Crisis on Two Earths. That movie is awesome. Except I don't like the voice cast for the most part.
Is that with James Woods as Owlman?
Yes. He's great, though.
He's great.
Yeah. But he is the only one who is great. I think everyone else is just kind of fine. And William Baldwin as Batman is terrible.
Yeah. That was back before consistency.
I'm going to go out on a limb and say no Baldwin should ever play Batman.
Yeah, that's fair.
No, man, 90s Alec Baldwin had the look.
But that's
25 years ago.
But he's already the Shadow.
Yeah, and I was gonna say I've seen him play the Shadow, and I don't think he should be Batman.
No, I'm just saying, like, Alec Baldwin had his day, but he chose the Shadow.
Yeah.
I watched the sequel, but kind of not really, Justice League Doom. And that movie rules. That movie has one up on Crisis on Two Earths, and that it has the voice cast, because that voice cast is the best voice cast constructed for a Justice League film. Period. It's Susan Eisenberg, Kevin Conroy, Tim Daly, Michael Rosenbaum, and then Carl Lumbly, and then also you just introduced Nathan Fillion as Green Lantern. You're like, hell yeah, this is it. Well done.
Yeah, that is good. And that movie, takes from one of the best Justice League stories of all time, Tower of Babel, where Batman's got a contingency plan for all the Justice League, and then oops, they get stolen. Oopsies.
Mm-hmm. I think the changes towards the in the animated movie as compared to the comic work really well for both. I think it's just a really solid movie.
I agree.
And then I watched an oldie but a goodie, Batman Beyond: Return of the Joker.
Has been a while.
You can never go wrong with Batman Beyond.
That movie's so damn good. I didn't realize that Dean Stockwell from Quantum Leap and Battlestar Galactica was Tim Drake. He's so good. Yeah. Obviously, look, Mark Hamill, Kevin Conroy delivers a great performance as Old Man Bruce Wayne in that movie. The movie rules. If you have not seen it, find the uncut version, because sadly the Blu-ray doesn't have the uncut version. But the uncut version is the superior version.
What makes it uncut?
It's got more blood and more scenes.
And also, when Joker dies, doesn't they actually show the flag sticking out of him or something?
Well, so one of the biggest changes between the uncut version and the cut version is that Bonk doesn't die.
Oh, okay.
So in the uncut version, Bonk is like, "Hey, Joker, you're not the real Joker. What the hell?" And Joker picks his thing, and it does the thing that says bang. It shoots out and says bang. And then it shoots it again, and it goes into Bonk, and he dies and with the giant grin on his face.
Yeah. Okay, yeah.
That's not in the cut version. It's the thing is not in his chest. It's just he's been hit with Joker gas.
Gotcha.
So that's kind of unfortunate. It kind of takes away the sting of the movie, I think.
Yeah, because doesn't also Joker a few seconds later deliver this line and is like, "Is that right, Bonk? Oh, right, dead."
Cut in the cut version.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that movie is really cool, and I really hope that they put on Blu-ray the uncut version. I have a sinking suspicion it might be in the new Batman Beyond Blu-ray set, but I haven't been able to confirm whether or not that movie exists in that set at all.
Yeah.
Cut version's the better version.
And then I caught up on X-Men. I'm still caught up on that. All great issues. X-Force was awesome.
Yeah, dude, Russian nesting dolls. I love it.
Yeah. I was watching it, I read it, and immediately I read it. I read it after I read Wolverine #3, which is its direct kind of continuation. So I was like, oh, this wouldn't have made any sense to me if I didn't just read Wolverine.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like,
you got to read them all.
That's why I'm glad I finally picked them up. Tom Taylor's new book, The Seven Secrets, dropped.
That's right. Oh,
this week. That's a really great first issue. It's nonstop action, and it moves at a clip. That's a great first issue. I hope the series continues to be just as good.
Boom Studios?
Yeah, Boom Studios.
Good. That dude's good.
And then kind of the newest things I did. I watched the first 3 Saw movies for the first time.
Nice.
I think the first one's real good. Cary Elwes and God, the writer.
Oh, Lee Winnell.
Lee Winnell, Invisible Man. He's the second lead in that movie.
Yeah.
Cary Elwes is great. Princess Bride, Robin Hood Men in Tights. But he's really good. That movie is just kind of a really intense thriller that just works. And then that sequel is not.
So the I've seen all those movies except for the very, very last one. The final
Jigsaw.
chapter. Yeah, Jigsaw, the final chapter or whatever. That first one is like an awesome horror movie. And unfortunately with Hollywood, you snatch up those low budget horror movies and you make 12 of them until no one cares anymore, which is exactly what happened.
Especially at that time period where like mainstream horror didn't know what it was trying to do at all.
So it capitalized on Saw's grossness, which it's part of the movie, but it's not really the point of the movie, right? Yeah. Like it's more character stuff, good gore.
Yeah, but the rest of them, as I understand, are much more about the gore.
And which again, those movies, like a nice like Friday night blockbuster horror movie, like some of those kills are righteous and crazy, and they get crazier and crazier, and the 3D is crazy. But like, I like that first one because it's really small scale.
Yeah, I really enjoyed the first one. I have only seen the first one and the 6th one.
So wow,
because I was visiting good friends, and they really one of them really wanted to go see the 6th one in films, and I'm like, I guess this is what we're doing.
Yeah.
And I was like, do I need to know anything? And they're like, no. And then like it opens with like all these pre-established characters. I'm like, well, I'm lost.
The first 3 are the only 3 written by Lee Winnell. He did write 2 and 3, and I think they work as a trilogy. In regards to Sparks, do you care?
No.
Okay. In regards to Amanda, I think the first 3 work is a really good trilogy for her.
Yeah.
That
And the killer in Dead by Daylight.
yeah.
Mhm.
That's why I keep saying Amanda.
I didn't realize that until I saw it 2. I was like, I think 2 has a really good twist, but I think the rest of the movie is kind of shit. And then 3 is just kind of okay. But I think they work well as a trilogy, and it's a damn shame. I just posted on my Instagram. I was like, they made 9 of these.
Yeah. And I will say, much like the Fast and the Furious, it actually takes its lore and its story very seriously. And like the more movies you get on, like it keeps adding more and more characters and more twists and like to this big plot. And that's kind of what ruins it for me, because I like it when it's just the first movie. And then it's like, I don't want to spoil the rest of the series for you, Brandon, but like there is such a huge twist in like the final movie that I still haven't seen, but I know because it got spoiled, that just like recontextualizes the entire series and it makes me hate it. And I'm like, I'm never gonna watch that movie. Because if I don't see it, it doesn't exist.
But yes, they're my girlfriend's favorite franchise of all time, so I'm gonna watch them all with her, and also because Spiral looks awesome.
Yeah, I'm super
super
interested in that.
I want to like have seen them all when I go see Spiral.
There's a Saw video game that's actually not bad.
Oh, I might give it a shot. That's pretty much all I did though. So
cool.
Who wants to go next?
I can, because I also didn't do a whole lot. I went back to work this week. That was not fun. But besides that, we played some Dead by Daylight, and Avatar or Legend of Korra finally came out on Netflix. So Fanny and I want to say, are halfway through season 1, and we're going through that. Korra's still great. Absolutely love that show. I'll probably talk more about it once I
might give it a second watch. I think I might give it a second watch.
It's been a while.
Zara hasn't seen it, so I want to. And when I first saw it, I thought it was good but not great, and I like Avatar more. But everyone keeps kind of hyping it up, like it's really good. So I'm like, I might give it another shot. Maybe I was a little too biased at the time.
I would definitely recommend you should, because this is actually the first time I've rewatched Korra, or I've seen Korra since I watched it when it first came out. So because after the seasons were coming out, I just watched them that first time, and then I never went back to it. So now they're on Netflix. I'm rewatching it again for the second time, unlike Avatar, where I've watched those seasons multiple times.
Yeah.
So I'm looking for it. It's also funny because Fanny's asking me questions about like, oh, where's Zuko? Oh, is that like we see a statue of Zuko? It's like, oh my god, is that Zuko? I'm like, yeah, that's Zuko. She's like, well, what happened to him? I'm like, can't tell you. That's a spoiler. She's like, well, what happened to this guy? Can't tell you. That's a spoiler.
I'm going to take a quick moment and remind Ben that I haven't seen seasons 3 and 4. Just
of what?
Just
Avatar?
a reminder of Korra.
Oh yeah.
Just a reminder.
No. So can't tell you. That's a spoiler.
He hasn't said
so
anything.
Yeah. So we're watching Korra. I'm also catching up on Rebel Academy. I'm halfway through season 2. I'm loving it. I really liked how season 1 ended, and like all the stuff that happened with Vanya's boyfriend Leonard. I was like, oh, that's some dark shit.
I thought his name was Stanley. It's Leonard. It's basically
Leonard's a little worse.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then once the whatchamacallit, when season 2 opens up, and how seeing them like go through like how they each landed in different parts of the 1960s.
I love the first scene of season 2 Umbrella Academy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh yeah, it's great. So yeah, I'm really enjoying Umbrella Academy. Can't wait to finish it so we can do Fake Nerds Watch about that.
Fixers Watch coming.
Yep. And that's one of the things I really like about Umbrella Academy is like, even though I know I'm watching it for work, I actually want to finish it. Like I remember I came home one night and I was like,
this is a job?
No.
As I was saying, like I knew I was gonna watch like 2 episodes, then go to bed because I wanted to wake up at a decent time. Did I? No. Did I go to bed after 2 episodes? Of course I did. I just finished the rest of the season.
Yeah,
I'm like, no. I got to a certain point. I was like, no, I need to find out what happens. I'm this close. How long is it? Okay, screw it. I'm going for it.
Good.
Yeah. So I went out and bought my comic books, and I know I made Ryan super happy because I picked up the trade of X-Force, which has issues 1 through 6, and I'm going to hunt down the rest of the issues I'm missing. I'm only missing 2, which are 7 and 8, and I bought as many back issues as I can. So now, and I also put X-Force on my pull list.
Good.
X gonna give it to you.
Next, I'm really happy for you, Ben, but next you're going to need Hellions, and you're going to need X-Factor, and you're gonna be Cable, and you can't miss out on new
I'm not. Part of me is super excited, but another part of me is like really scared when Tennosaurus comes out.
Thanks to X-Men, my poll is like 70% Marvel.
You are keeping the comic book store alive. Thank you, X-Men and Brandon. And
You're welcome. Personally.
Yeah, actually, when I went to the store, because I went to the store and I told the guy working there, I was like, "Oh yeah, let's just put this on my poll," and he takes out my poll list. So I'm looking at it. Like Marvel is the biggest one because I got like a bunch of X titles. I got Star Wars. I put Darth Vader on there finally, and then I looked down at my DC and it's just Young Justice, Ruby. And I'm like, well, one of those doesn't exist anymore.
One of those is going bye-bye.
Well, one of those got canceled, so that's not happening. And then I look down at the other, and the other is just Sonic the Hedgehog. I'm like, well, at least that was not going anywhere, thank God.
I mean, I pull a lot more than you do, but yeah. Same sentiment.
Yeah, so for me, it's like, well, I added 2, 1 died, and then I put 3 more books on there, so I guess I'm evening it out in a way.
Just like the X-Men, another comic dies, and X-Men gets to be reborn in its place. Just as it should be, then.
Just as it should be. I still haven't given up on Young, even though I hate that they call Red Robin Drake. I still haven't hated Young Justice to the point where it's like I'm gonna take Young Justice off my poll.
Don't worry.
Poor
Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it.
Poor
It's gone.
Tim Drake.
Gone.
Yeah, so I got those books. I'm looking forward to hunting down 7 and 8 so I can streamline the rest of X-Force because all those issues Ryan gave, like Ryan said, issue 3. I'm like, damn it, I want these now.
I was talking to my girlfriend about X-Men. She's a big X-Men fan, but she's not reading the current stuff because she hasn't read a comic book in years. But one of the things that I told her, I was like, it helps that they're all, at least at this point, good.
Yeah.
And you you never regret having picked one up because you want to know the full story. You're just like, if you think you're going to regret Cable's awesome. Wolverine's awesome. And they're all doing exactly what House of X and Powers of X laid out in the beginning, and they're all just tackling it right now. This is what the stories are.
So I'm going to give a quick shout out to friend and listener John Radley. I hope you're listening to what we're saying. He messaged me and asked me, okay, so I've slipped away from Marvel Comics for a while. I read Secret Wars, and then I kind of diddled off a little. Where should I be looking to pick up, especially for the X-Men? And I'm like, all right, let me tell you, it's Hoxpox that you got to start at. And then let me explain what New Dawn is. And so I give him the list of titles, and I'm like, these are all the good titles. This is the one you can skip.
Yeah.
Literally everything else you should be reading. They are interwoven. They all work off of each other. It is insane. Nothing like this has happened in the mainline comics. Be reading X-Men. And then I also recommended all of Donny Cates' stuff, essentially, especially in prep for King in Black and Immortal Hulk.
No, I was just glad that. Yeah, I was just glad that the comic book store had X-Force Volume 1 because I saw that at Frankenstein's last week, and I was supposed to go this week, but we couldn't because my friend he had to do something else, so we're gonna try and go next week. But I was like, oh, thank God it's there, and they had issues 9, 10, and 11 because 11 just came out. So I'm only missing 7 and 8. So then with the trade and 7 and 8, I'll have caught up on all of X-Force.
Nice.
So I'm really looking forward to that. And I, like Brian said at the top, I wrote a new article for Old School Gamer magazine. And video game wise, I played a little bit of Bloodborne with my brother, not a whole lot. That's about it.
No.
No, of course we did some Dead by Daylight as well.
DVD.
Yep.
Yeah, that was fun.
You got a lot more X-Men to read. You got a lot more.
I
A lot of X next month. Catch up.
Yeah.
I
do need to catch up.
Exactly like a month before
X of Swords.
X of Swords bombards us with quality and lots of money spent. So you got time, but you gotta get on it soon.
Well, the nice thing is we don't have to talk about X of Swords the day X of
Swords
starts.
No, it doesn't. But everything else.
We did talk about we are going to do an X of Swords episode, so stay tuned for that.
When it's all finished.
Said and done.
All 57 issues or whatever.
Yeah.
Sparks or Ryan? Want to go? Which one?
I'll go. So I did Umbrella Academy review on Just Annoyed. Sorry, Astra. I gotta tell you guys, after doing like a 4-hour podcast every day, it's so hard and weird to just do an hour because we'll talk about something for like 2 minutes and then like switch to the next topic. And I'm like, oh yeah, I forgot. We're the long ones. So like. I got to talk about things for very short amounts of time, but I still got to talk about it, so that was fun. Umbrella Academy rules. We'll talk about it. More spoilers. I like it a lot. I started to play because I'm done with my Sony first-party games. I'll get back to Ghost of Tsushima eventually. But I had Control, and there's a Control DLC coming out soon. So I figured, hey, I should get back into the game and play that game. Guys, Control is so good in so many ways. It is absolutely probably going to be one of my favorite games of all time. The combat is so fun. Like you saw in the brief trailer, just some of the stuff you can do in that game. You levitate, you can telekinetically pick things up and throw them. You bring up a shield to blast things out. Like it is like the best superhero game that's not about superheroes. It's about boring bureaucracy. And I was trying to figure out the best way to explain this game to you guys without for things that you have reference to. And it's Hideki Anno's X-Files. It is like the Neon Genesis Evangelion Shin Godzilla director, if he made an X-Files. It's all super boring bureaucracy. Every time you pick up like files like you pick up in games, it's super boring like text like, hey, we have to do the E95 form, blah, 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 blah. But it's talking about alternate realities and people getting murdered. And just the tone shift of that game is so hard and fun. I'm just going to talk about one of the side quests because it had me laughing my ass off, and it's just the game's so good. So there's this thing called the Panopticon, and it's where they keep all of the most dangerous items of power, and it's like these supernatural items that are gifted with things, like a TV will get you sent into the TV, a merry-go-round will send you to an alternate dimension, all these different things, right? Alan Wake, his flashlight might be an object of power, which is why I wanted you guys to watch that trailer because it's going to tie into the sequel or the expansion thing, right? There's this guy sitting in this box with a fridge, and he's staring at a fridge, and he's just yelling for help. And because in Control, like the whole place is out of control. Like monsters are invading, right? It's chaos. So this guy's just trapped here, and people forgot about him. So you're like, hey man, what's up? And he's like, hey, my name's Philip, and I can't stop staring at this fridge, or it'll kill everyone in the vicinity. It has eyes on it 24 hours a day. I haven't blinked for a day. Please help me. So I'm like, Philip, my man, the door is locked. I don't know what to do. He's like, go find the director. So I backtrack to find this guy, and the director's like, oh my God, I forgot about Philip. It's so funny. And he's like, how do you forget about him? And he's like, lady, have you seen what's going on? We're being invaded here. And it's like the crazy shit happening in the story. So he unlocks the door. I go back up to Philip. I'm like, Philip, 5 more seconds. I'll be there soon. He's like, Jesse, hurry up. And I'm running in there. And before we open the door, I hear a scream and a boom. And I'm like, Philip. And I open the door, and Philip's gone. There's blood everywhere. And I'm like, no, Philip. So now I'm staring at the fridge. And if you look away, your health bar starts to decrease. So I have to stare at the fridge. And I'm like, what do I do? All I gotta do is stand in front of it and touch it. But like for a while, you try to escape. And I'm just dying. I'm like, okay, I got to touch the fridge. So you touch the fridge, and it brings you to an alternate dimension where this 100-foot kaiju monster is trying to kill you. And every time somebody touches the fridge or looks away from it, they get transported to this thing, and then they also get killed. So I had to fight this giant monster that is inside this fridge. And I do it, and it's super hard boss battle, and it's just a side quest. And I finish it, and I leave the fridge, and then just like the room, it's clear, and the music comes on, and everything's happy. And it's just a normal fridge again. And I go to the director, and I'm like, yo, I fixed the fridge. And he's like, what do you mean you fixed the fridge? He's like, I beat the guy that's inside of it. And he's like, oh my God, the paperwork I'm going to have to do. Oh my God. That's the entire game. That is the entire game. And I love it so much. And the fact that it's incorporating stuff from Alan Wake, which is a game from 10 years ago. It's just like the little planning. It's like comic book planning. And we'll talk about it with the trailer. But I love Control so much. There's a Ultimate Edition coming out that I don't think you put in the news. That's really shitty. But there's a Ultimate Edition with all the DLC coming out. You guys should play that game eventually. It's a top 10 game, man. Besides that,
clarify what you meant by that's really shitty.
What do you mean? Oh, well, because I thought maybe we'll talk about it in news. If you buy the upgraded, if you buy the upgraded edition that's not out yet, you get a free upgrade to PS5 and Xbox One X or whatever. But if you already have the game and you bought all the DLC, you don't get that free upgrade. You have to rebuy the game to get that free upgrade. And that's really shitty. That's really shitty. because that DLC just came out and people just bought it because it's coming out in like a week. So that's really shitty on their part, but that's more of the company above them, not the developers themselves.
Right.
Like an EA kind of thing. That's what I meant. Besides that, I didn't really do anything this week. I didn't really do much with you. I gotta be honest, like the heat, like working in the heat and it just being hot, just took the energy out of me doing anything. So like I just watched a lot of YouTube videos and sweat and played Control. So that's it. Oh, I read a lot of comics. Comics are cool.
Comics are cool.
Yeah, I also read comics. We talked about X-Men, so I won't really talk too much more about it. Caught up on Empire. All of it, all tie-ins, all the Empire. Empire's good.
Hell yeah, it is.
I actually really like this event. I was thinking, damn it, I meant to bring the book over with me. I have the book from like a couple weeks ago that was like the Marvel Universe preview book that the comic shop gives out for Empire. And you have like the opening issues of the Thor issue that's never going to come out. Like the opening pages of the Squadron Supreme issue that will never exist. And I'm like, all this shit is right here. This event was supposed to be so much, and I am enjoying it so much. I'm pissed. I'm pissed. I'm like, there's these good stories. You can see Ramby's art on the Thor thing, and you're like, that's a travesty. Dumb. How is it right here? But I'll never see it. I'll never see it.
Thanks, Corona.
It is staggering to consider the Empire list as it was and the Empire list as it is now. Sucks.
Yeah. You hear that the X-Men one got bigger.
It just such a bummer for an event that I think, an event that I think has actually been impressing me. I didn't think I'd be as interested in it as I am. I think they're able to make each tie-in and the core event feel very impactful without having to do a lot of legwork to make me care about a lot of people, compared to another event happening right now that I feel like I have to read a whole Bible before I can understand enough to care about some of the characters that are involved.
Why, Sparks, whatever could you mean?
Oh, I mean death metal. I'm sorry. Was I being subtle? I mean death metal. I mean death metal needs to make me care more.
Did you read 3?
No. Okay. Not yet.
I still like it.
I'm not shitting on it. I am saying that
I am.
I'm not shitting on the event as a whole. I'm interested. I just wish I didn't feel like I needed so much more pre-setup to care about what I'm reading.
Mm-hmm.
That's really what it is. Whereas Empire, I'm like, man, I'm invested in every avenue of what's going on here, and I didn't even know about the Swordsman until I read this. So,
can I just say real quickly? I know you guys aren't too crazy about at various levels of not crazy about death metal, but this latest issue had a reunion between Batman and Jarro, and my heart went a flutter.
Yeah, that was nice, and like from his Justice League run, like that's a cute thing. But like,
who's Jarro?
Jarro is like the mini version of Starro. They kept it in a jar, so they called him Jarro.
Okay,
and he's Batman's son.
Okay, he's Batman's son.
It's cute. No, that is a thing that is from his previous run. Yes. Like those small, there are a lot of really nice small moments. It's the overall stuff that I just don't think is working very well.
Mm-hmm.
I still haven't read the 3rd issue. I will.
Have I? I bought it. I haven't read it yet.
Anyway, I watched more Impractical Jokers when I needed to break up what else I was doing this week and just laugh, and that works. Read those. I watched Sabrina Carpenter's new Netflix dance film called Work It.
Oh, did you really?
Yes, I did. It's all right. I do like that it has Liza from YouTube. She's the YouTube comedian Liza.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. She's in it, and she's very funny in it. And Keenan Lonsdale, Wally West from Flash, is the antagonist. And I did not know he was that. Like, he's a really good dancer. Not like, he's a good dancer. He's a really good dancer.
Yeah.
Really, really good. So that threw me for a loop. He has a whole persona in that. I can sum it up as his name is Isaiah, but he makes everyone call him Juilliard because he wants to go to Juilliard. Okay,
sure.
You got it. Cool. For movie night, we watched Tomb Raider. Brandon, you watched Tomb Raider as well. That movie is still just as okay as I think we all felt it was when it came out. I kept watching it. I'm like, Alicia Vikander is so good for this role. I wish this movie was working to all of her strengths.
Yeah.
And I forgot how dope that opening bike scene was.
Yeah.
Where he puts the foxtail on and they chase her through London. I was like, oh yeah, this was a really good scene.
They've announced the sequel, right? We talked about
it's
that.
happening. It's
Yeah, they
happening.
announced it.
I'm very hopeful that will be better.
Yeah.
And to be honest with you, I thought, you know what really drags this movie? It's her being reunited with her dad. Yeah, I think if her dad had just already been dead and she hadn't found him alive on the island, I don't think it would have dragged the story as much. I think if she had just had to do her own shit and survive, it would have made her stand out more. But instead, we have to do a lot of this family catch-up crap.
Sure.
I felt that way more this time than I did the first time I saw it. Anyway, the big things I did, I think you can tell from my shirt, I wait all year for this week, was Shark Week. I watched collectively probably 21 hours of new specials related to Shark Week. And when I wasn't doing that, I was playing Maneater, which I both started and finished this week. I'll talk about Maneater real quick. Maneater, I actually think is really cool. I thought it was really cool once I got the gameplay down, once I got the flight controls down. It plays like the mechanics seem to be like a good fighter pilot game, but instead you're a shark. And once I kind of got into the groove of it, it really worked for me. But the thing that I love the most about that game is the sound design. I played this whole game with headphones because Megan was working behind me, and that was the main reason I wasn't watching Shark Week, so I put in Maneater instead. And the whole soundscape is incredible. The variation between when you're underwater and when you're above water, how humans or boats sound, the way that you can hear animals around you, and especially if you're wearing headphones, that they sound closer when they are close, that it'll freak you out because you'll hear a killer whale and you'll be like, where? Because killer whales are bigger than you, and especially sperm whales are way bigger than you and have a deep bass, and these sounds sound really good. There are a lot of like fictional sounds, like a lot of the animals growl when they attack you, or you growl when you attack, but that's just like game stuff. But otherwise, I found the sounds to be really, really natural sounding, really representative of the creatures, specifically seals, killer whales, sperm whales, and alligators. And it just makes the whole thing feel very atmospheric in a really powerful way. And I think they did water visibility very well. Once I got out to the Gulf, out into Sapphire Bay, and it starts getting deeper and deeper, the way that you go down to the bottom and the way you can kind of see the light, but you can't make out shapes once you're at a certain depth very well. You just kind of get, it's brighter up there, and that's it. And the way that like your sonar allows you to like send out a pulse, which is meant to represent the electroreceptors that a shark has, so that you can see objects, but then when that sonar dies down, it turns back into like a wall of blue up to a certain distance, and that distance feels consistent, and it feels effective, and it feels real. I have to say, I think that game is really well designed as far as like trying to be convincing of that whole thing. I give mad props to the fact that a whole lot of people, I think, were wondering why the main shark isn't a great white, but is instead a bull shark. And I actually have to give credit to the team that they did their research. It's because bull sharks can go between freshwater and saltwater, and they're one of the only sharks that can do that. And you start in fresh water. And that's why they want to do that, because you start in a small bayou. That's where you start. And it's to give you a smaller feeding ground before you move into bigger and bigger landscapes. And they have little moments where they pepper in like realistic facts. And Chris Parnell is the narrator of your whole documentary experience as the shark. And he has a whole dark sense of humor attached to things. Some of my favorite things are landmarks that you come across, because there's landmarks in every area. And some of them are like, I found Pennywise the Clown in a sewer. I found there is a gigantic, like 2 stone door gate that is lifting up with chains locking over it, that is bubbling up with yellow energy and really, really effective sounds of like big creatures under it. And it is a gate that is basically the rift that has been chained up. And they say there's kaiju under there, and sometimes they come out, so we got to keep this thing down.
DLC.
It's very, very funny. There's a whole lot of things like that. The crocodile with the clock in its mouth from Hook is in the bayou.
Oh, that's cool.
Yes, there's a Happy Gilmore reference with golf clubs. There's Finding Nemo references. It is very, very cute how they work in a whole bunch of things for you to just like sightsee and find and enjoy. I cleared that game 100%. It is a quick play. but it's a lot of fun, especially if you like shark stuff. It was a nice way to companion piece to my main feast of Shark Week specials, and I'll just give you guys a quick rundown of some cool things from that. Mike Tyson did an incredible special where he was very, very honest about his fear of going underwater. And what it turns out is like that when they start Mike Tyson doing it, they have him doing scuba exercises because he's never been diving, and he can't even keep up his breath in a pool. So it's a long like workup for him. There's one point where like he went on a dive and he had to come back up because he was going to vomit, and he was going to vomit and he was going to drown in his mask. And Tyson was willing to just let them air him losing it like that. And I give a lot of credit to that. I think that was really cool that he was very genuine about how afraid he was, how hard it was, and then how much he appreciated the sharks as he was doing it. Will Smith did a similar special, which he seems to have edited himself, which is not me critiquing it and saying it's bad. It's just it's very, very personal throughout. There's no Shark Week narrator. It is Will Smith 100% from the beginning to the end, telling you about why he did this and what the experience meant to him, which is all about that. Apparently, Will Smith has always been afraid of the water, always afraid of drowning, and afraid of sharks. So much so that until he was in his 40s, Will Smith was convinced that when he was younger, he drowned and his mom had pulled him out of a pool and saved his life. And he told that story to his mother in his mid-40s, and it turned out that he made that up.
Oh.
And he just created that fear. So it was something that he really wanted to conquer and get over. And that's a really, really cool special as well. Snoop Dogg came in and narrated one, which is basically a whole bunch of other people doing viral videos or shark experts talking about something. And then Snoop will just throw in his 2 cents, which is really entertaining. Beyond that, as far as like new discoveries, they know now where a lot of the great whites have moved on away from the area where the killer whales have been killing them for the past couple of years. They still haven't migrated back into South Africa. They found 3 believed to be extinct shark species dating back to at least 1900, if not earlier. Trying to think if there were any other major ones.
Any megalodons?
No, of course not. Don't be ridiculous. It was a very good Shark Week. This is the Georgia Aquarium through Shark Week announced that they are doing. They built this exhibit, which is the first of its kind. It's this gigantic tank that they already have 2 tiger sharks in. They're going to add in hammerheads and bulls. Hopefully, that's what they want to do. And they not only is that insane because no aquarium in the world has those sharks in captivity. So it'll be one thing just to see how well that goes. But on top of that, they've built 2 cage rigs that up to 8 guests can go into. And the guests have air tanks supplied for them. And they're going to stand in the cage, and the cage will be lowered into the tank. And then it's on a track, and the track will go around and through the whole tank. So they get an experience around with all of the sharks in the tank.
Aquarium roller coaster.
This is something that the Georgia Aquarium is intending to open next year.
That sounds awesome.
Wow.
That is bonkers and unbelievable. And I'm going to be paying very close attention to how well those sharks do in captivity and how they're taking care of them. But if it's on the up and up, that is an incredible experience.
Hell yeah.
Very incredible. A very awesome way for like people who don't want to and affordable, costs about the same as you doing like a regular low budget cage dive that can go out for a single like couple hours, but you don't get a guarantee of seeing sharks when you do that.
Yeah.
So that's Shark Week, baby. It was a good one.
Mag says 45th year anniversary of Jaws.
Hot dog.
It's true.
Real quickly before we move on, I forgot one thing. I've watched 3 episodes of Muppets Now, which is the new Muppet series on Disney Plus.
That's more than me.
It's aggressively not funny.
That's
that
a bummer.
makes me.
I don't know when I'm gonna get to episodes 2 or 3.
That makes me so sad.
No, that makes me sad too, because I really want the Muppets to have a win.
Yeah, it makes the 2015 series, The Office inspired one, look much better.
Yeah.
I still never thought that show wasn't good. I thought it had problems, but I didn't think it was bad.
Yeah.
And now I'm like, I'd rather just have another season of that show, please.
Remember when Lawrence Fishburne showed up and he's like, "Hey Kermit, your show sucks."
And then he drives back.
And then he comes back. And then he comes back. "Hey man, I'm sorry, that was rude of me." "Oh, it's okay, Mr. Fishburne. Your show still sucks."
And he drives off again.
Is that show on Disney Plus?
Yes.
Yes.
I never finished it.
It is worth going back to. It got better as it went, is the thing too.
Yeah.
But a lot of people just dropped off automatically.
Yeah.
That show was quality. It knew how to use its celebrities.
This new show doesn't, which sucks.
I also forgot one thing. DC Layoffs happened, and I watched an interview. Mayfair Comic-Con's happening right now, which is cool. And I watched a bunch of interviews. I watched one with Tom King, and he talked about how what I and a lot of people think one of the best issues he's ever written of a comic, Super Friends. It's about a double date with Superman, Batman, Selena, and Lois, and how every single person there hated the idea and tried to get it stopped. And then the book, it got published anyway, and now it's like one of the most revered issues he ever written. And I always just think, I'm like, man, some people upstairs just never know what they're talking about. It's crazy. So I read a lot of Batman this week. Tom King's Batman run ended last year. This year? I don't know. I don't know how time works anymore. But I never read the final issue because his departure from the comic was announced before it ended, so that immediately made me sad. I didn't want to finish it. But I was like, hey, that Cat-Bat book is coming out sometime soon or whenever. So I decided to finish it.
That's the new Doomsday Clock.
Oh my God, no, but I want to read this.
It's the Phantasm.
Yeah, the Phantasm, but I want to read this. So I read like 40 issues of Tom King's Batman run over this past week. Spoiler alert, I'm going to pick select issues to make my book club. But going through that and then actually finishing it, and I'm like, man, this really was this was almost 100 issues of a single solid story. And I'm like, oh, it makes me so sad because that final issue was so good. And like, you can tell it was cut. Just like the way he was written, it feels like it. And I'm like, oh, that's so sad. At least the last issue was still really good. And it ends on a really high note, which makes me really excited for whenever that maxi series eventually comes out. But I read James Tynion, the fourth's Batman run, because I read the first issue and thought it was whatever. So I decided I was still picking it up because I didn't take it on my pull list or whatever. I read like 4 issues of that, and it's good. It's good. It is a very good comic book. It's not the Batman that I'd want. It is definitely kind of going back to traditional stuff, but Batcat is still there. I will say James Tynion tries to write Tom King dialogue, and they are not the same writer. Like he still does like the Batcat stuff that makes him like really flirty, and they're just two different writers. You shouldn't have to do that. But I found the story of Joker War. I think it's kind of lame, if I'm being honest. I'm just going to tell you is anyone reading it right now?
No, but I know what's happening.
Okay, I'm going to spoil it because I don't give a shit. So Joker is a billionaire. He has stolen Bruce Wayne's money, and now Joker is turning Gotham into the city that it should be to fight Batman, to make Batman the best Batman he could be. And now Batman is broke. It's like the opposite Peter Parker. It's like the Dan Slott Peter Parker thing. It's like, yo, man, this idea is cool. I'm just so confused about like the story itself, because like, especially coming off Tom King's run, if you wanna continue Tom King's run and do everything, that's cool, but it's conflicting so many ideas that have been previously established, right? If you want to do your own stuff, like you should just cut hard. You should just cut hard and don't try to take some of your stuff and do this all big stuff, because I don't think it works. Also, Punchline sucks. I don't know if you guys will read it, but I think Punchline sucks. There's a bunch of speculation about that character because she's the new Harley. No, she's not. There's no way she's a new Harley. She might look like a new Harley, but that is a tropey simp for Joker character that I did not need after Harley, especially after the Harley Quinn show. I don't need that. So that book is good, but I'm just like, oh man, the Joker War, after Tom King did the War of Jokes and Riddles, and now we have 3 Jokers coming out. I'm like, wow, Joker's cool, isn't he, you guys? That's how I feel. I don't know. I read a lot more Marvel comics these days.
I will tag in just a couple last things related to sharks.
Sharks.
Adam Devine did a cool thing. First off, Adam Devine gets a lot of credit for having tagged a tiger shark that ultimately led to them finding a tiger shark nursery, which is a big deal. And then they went to explore it, and Adam Devine brought his buddies and cast members from Workaholics with him.
Hell yeah.
And he took down waterproof DJ turntables to use music to call the sharks to them, because music works, and that was very unique to watch, because it does work.
I'll watch
but
that clip.
But it was quite silly, because it's Adam Devine. And then the other thing is I got more involved with Shark Week Twitter than I ever have in my life.
I love it.
Because I'm more involved with Twitter now than I ever have been in my life. and that led to me following a lot of people who talk about where Shark Week gets things wrong, because they do. Because some people talk out of their butt or don't do the research. Also brought a whole lot of attention, which I think is really cool, to, yes, heavy metal attracts sharks. Big time.
That's
They're
awesome.
heavy metal fans. So there's actually a lot of good articles out there talking about why women and people of color who are marine biologists and marine experts and scientists are not featured as much on Shark Week, and that's a little bit of a problem that's not getting enough attention. And it's changing, but very, very slowly. And I thought that was a really worthwhile read. And I'm like, wow, I never thought we'd be talking about, but I guess it makes sense. Like, we got to talk about how the Discovery Channel isn't being diverse enough with its shark experts, and that's reasonable. And the other thing is, I definitely tweeted out some things. I'll try and find another one to tweet out. But there's if you have any interest, there's 4Ocean. There's a whole lot of projects right now that are out there to help shark conservation, which is a big deal. And I'm always glad that Shark Week, amongst other things around Shark Week, are always promoting it, trying to get the word out. An example would be that there's a petition you can sign right now for the U.S. To stop allowing us to kill makos that we actually accidentally catch when fishing. That's still legal in the States, and it shouldn't be. They're not. Their population isn't that good, so they're not endangered yet, but they will be. So just check out those shark conservation things if you guys give a crap about the ocean.
Man, I just
got plugged.
real quick, I watched the video that was so it's Metal Gear Solid 5 is a Moby Dick allegory. And I watched this video describing Metal Gear Solid 5 as an epic anti-war masterpiece, which it is. But it's all about Moby Dick. So the first half of the video is describing all about Moby Dick. And I realized that whaling was so heavy. I had no idea how bad whaling was in like the early 20th and like 19th century. Like thousands of it was so we used a whale oil and whale blubber so much that it destroyed their ecosystems. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm so glad we're better about this now. But seeing whale graveyards is never something I thought I'd see. It's crazy.
That brings up two other good points. There were a couple of specials that were talking about how much better some of the shark populations and the ecology of marine life in general is doing right now because of the pandemic, because humans aren't able to go to a lot of the places they are. Life in those areas has totally taken on a new shape. It's amazing how fast these habitats have started to change, what animals have come back to areas that humans have just not gone to for months. And I thought that was really cool that they had time to address that kind of effect that the current state we're living in now. Also, Brandon, you like Moby Dick. I forgot to mention it. In Maneater, the very last animal boss you fight is basically Moby Dick. It's a 60-foot sperm whale that is white and has ropes and harpoons in it. angry red eyes.
That's awesome. I have all three Moby Dick movies, the Gregory Peck film, the Patrick Stewart miniseries, and the William Hurt miniseries. All of those are awesome.
Yeah,
I really like the William Hurt one.
Yeah, all the footage from the video I watched was from the Patrick Stewart one, and that looked awesome. That looked intense.
Anyway, let's move on to our news, because it's now, we got a lot to get through. Actually, the news isn't so bad. It's a lot of kind of little things that popped up this week.
This is about our usual catch-up time.
Yeah.
Gotta talk about the Sharks. I only get 1 week a year.
Wait all year for this.
I'll wait all year.
So this one actually goes against what I just said. This one we'll probably be talking about a while. For Avatar,
I forgot one thing. Ben brought up Dead by Daylight, and we should talk about the fact that Dead by Daylight added crossplay this week.
Oh, yeah.
I meant to bring it up. Ben brought it up. That's true. Dead by Daylight now allows you to crossplay across platforms, because we've been playing a bunch of that. So you can play on Xbox with your friends who are on PS4 or on Switch, PC, Steam, whatever. Okay, go on. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Hell yeah.
Avatar: The Last Airbender had some bad news this week.
Yeah.
Michael Dante DiMartino and Brian Konietzko were the original creators of Avatar: The Last Airbender and Legend of Korra, and they were working on the live-action series for Netflix. They have departed the series and will have no involvement. Made it very clear they will not have any involvement in it going forward. The Instagram post from Brian said that it was because the changes that Netflix wanted to make, that they were adamant about, were against the spirit of the show, and they couldn't stand by it.
It's unsubstantiated yet, but the rumors were that they wanted to make it much more like PG-13 with like romance and sex.
I've seen some places saying that's not true.
That's not true.
But
okay.
Yeah.
But we don't know really who's saying the right thing. But I have seen enough, more than one place try to say that's not true. That's an exaggeration. But we don't know.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Another thing I saw, because I also saw how like Netflix wanted to try and make it a little more. They wanted to like up some romance, maybe a little bit more make it a little sexier, and the creators were like, hell no, we don't want that. Another thing I read was that they were like, oh, let's make it open to all actors, whereas the creators were like, let's try and cast like appropriate casting, not like whitewashing like the forbidden thing.
I don't think that is true, primarily because when Netflix first released the thing for it, the announcement was like, we're going to be casting appropriate actors. Yeah. So I'm like, even if Netflix said that from the get-go, I doubt that one's true.
Right. Well, because the thing is, the thing I read, also someone came up and said, oh, this was not true. So we still don't know exactly what happened.
I do think people have been wanting to create a bigger fire where there is a fire by trying to already say like, trying to make people hate this adaptation before it even gets its legs, now that the creators have come out and said we're leaving the project. But so there could be some truth to it, but I'm leaning towards I saw enough. No, these things aren't true, that we don't know the exact reason why they left the project. I can't totally believe that it would be this far along. And those were some of the issues we're talking about were the ones that were happening, and it took this long for the creators to leave. Yeah,
they worked on it for 2 years.
I'd have to say that it has to be some things a little lower obvious scale than the things that people are trying to say were the problems.
Yeah, if anything, this is like an Edgar Wright situation, right? Where like they just didn't agree creatively on a creative level. There you go. Words work. And you know what, like. If they weren't so heavily involved with this adaptation, I don't think I'd be so worried, because how many adaptations have we seen where the creators aren't involved? Like we just watched Umbrella Academy, right? And that's pretty much its own thing. Like Doom Patrol, it's its own thing. But when you get the guys, they got the guys because that movie sucks. The movie's horrible, and it's like everything that's not cool about Avatar.
It was a good faith thing.
Yes, it was a good faith thing, and working on it for 2 years, like if you didn't see that it was bad from the beginning, that means they believed they could actually do this. But 2 years go along, and just 2 years, and this just starts split until they realize we just can't do it anymore. It sucks. The show could still be good.
It could.
Just like, it's not going to be that show, which it never was going to be.
So I've been seeing.
One of you pick.
All right. So I've been seeing quite a few reactions online, both from my personal friends and from other people who have been tweeting and commenting about this. And unfortunately, most of them have been negative, because the second that the news broke out that the original creators were leaving, they instantly started hating on this adaptation, which I kind of feel is a little unearned. I mean, I get it. Last Airbender PTSD, that movie was god-awful. It shat on one of the greatest animated shows ever made.
Well,
I completely get that.
It's what we say here. It's what we say here all the time. Like, anything can be good.
Exactly. Anything can be good. And just like what Ryan said, Umbrella Academy, amazing show. Does Gerard Way and Gabriel Blah have anything to do with it? No. They just created the blueprint, and they took it to the races and had a good time with it. So
they have an involvement in the show. They are producers on it.
Oh, but they're not writing the scripts.
But exactly.
Right. But the difference is that the creators of Last Airbender would normally have been executive producers, but now they will have nothing.
Yeah, they're not going to have, and like the only times we're probably going to see their names pop up is in the opening credits when Avatar: Last Airbender created by Brian and Michael.
Yeah,
that's about it. So,
I mean, we haven't seen anything from it. It's just it's just a bad sign from like, oh, the guys who made the show don't want to be there anymore.
I do think it's important to acknowledge that. I think it was Michael's Facebook post that said there's a lot of really good people still working on this that are there. Yeah, they're people we chose, people we hired, people we believe in are working on this. We're not saying it can be, it's just we would not feel good about being a part of it. There's also an amount where I'm not saying this is the case. I'm just saying, we're at a point where we need to consider all angles of it, that they can love the baby too much.
Yeah.
And be too sacred about it and not willing enough to bend from certain choices. And that's okay. Because they made the choice. Like, if that is the case, then they chose to step away because that's what it was. We can't judge. It's too early to judge. Mm-hmm. The adaptation is going to come out, and we're either going to like it or we're not, and we'll find out then. I'm not taking this as a death knell for the series.
Neither am I. Like, I feel like a lot of fans are.
Yeah,
because a lot of my personal friends who also love Avatar: Last Airbender and of course despise the movie. The second this news came out, a lot of them are saying, "Well, now I'm never going to watch it because the original creators are gone."
See, and that's the whole thing. That's the whole thing, is because they said we've got the original creators involved because they were trying to immediately kill that, which is what would have happened had they not had that front face of the original creators are here, don't worry. Because of the film. It's just bad juju coming from the film. It doesn't mean this series is doomed.
Of course it doesn't.
We'll have to wait and see.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I'm looking forward to it. I hope it turns out awesome. And if it doesn't, well, bummer. We still have the animated one. We still got it.
I'd rather have a Kyosho miniseries prequel.
I would love that.
Everyone wants that. Oh, yeah.
Anyway. God, I would love a Kyoshi show.
Everybody wants more animated Avatar.
Yeah, we do.
Look, I'll be honest. Like, I'm interested in seeing the series. I haven't been that excited about it at all ever since it was announced. I never felt like after the movie happened, I was like, I don't need live action Avatar. If it never happens, that's okay. So it was like, oh, that's cool that they're trying to do the series again, I guess. But I already am kind of killed on it, where I'm like, yeah, but I don't need it because the show is good. But we'll see.
Yeah. We will.
So what is in other Netflix news? What movie, guys? Do you remember what the biggest movie of 2013 was?
Give me a second.
The biggest movie of 2013.
1 year after Avengers. Iron Man 3.
47 Ronin.
Oh, I saw that movie in theaters, and I was the only one.
Keanu Reeves, 47 Ronin.
Will 2013?
Yeah.
Wow.
That movie has such a sad production story, man. This is cool news, but this is.
I forgot about that movie.
I personally like it. It was fine. But it is getting a sequel from Netflix and Universal Studios from actor-director Ron Yuan, who will be in the upcoming Mulan. He is going to direct the sequel, a cyberpunk sequel to 47 Ronin.
Cyberpunk. It's gonna be Ronin 2047.
He says, I'm incredibly excited to be working with Universal and the producing team on this genre-blending martial arts, action, horror, and cyberpunk film. This will be a fun, intense, supercharged thrill ride for viewers globally.
Huh.
Why is this 47 Ronin if it's not 47 Ronin?
Maybe it's 2047 Ronin.
Yeah. So I remember being super interested in this movie because weird comparison. Sucker Punch. When you see the trailer for Sucker Punch without knowing anything about Zack Snyder, that movie looks cool, right? You got cool girls like with samurai swords fighting robot dragons.
You can still watch any of those action sequences where it's just a music video and they're good.
Yeah. But much like Sucker Punch, 47 Ronin has a dope trailer, and the movie it's not good. That movie originally was going to be about a different character that's not Keanu Reeves, and then the studio destroyed that movie because they didn't believe that a no famous person could lead this movie. There was a guy whose entire body is covered in tattoos. You see him in the trailer for half a second. His entire role is cut from that movie, like entirely cut from that movie, and that's really sad because that looked like a cool movie that you never got to see what it actually was. The fact that it's getting a sequel is crazy, but it's not a real sequel. So I'm just like, what? It's written by Chris Morgan, who did the Fast and the Furious movies. So like it's a cool movie, but just like it's edited to shit. Like they destroyed that movie in the editing room, man.
Yeah.
So it's cool that it's getting a second chance. You're not really kinda.
I don't know.
Cool. I love second chances though. So like
it's just weird because if you're not doing a feudal Japan movie, why is it 47 Ronin? It's like I couldn't understand. Maybe it's like that futuristic Zorro Beyond, whatever they were trying to do for a long time.
Yeah.
I guess.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Weird.
I didn't want that Zorro Beyond.
Yeah.
Over on Peacock, the streaming service next door, with the horrible name, MacGruber. Will Forte's MacGruber has received an 8 half-hour episode season pickup.
Hell yeah.
Will Forte will return to write the series and produce the series and star in the series as MacGruber. Jorma Taccone, who is the director of the movie, will direct the series.
I'm only not excited because it's on Peacock.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love MacGruber. I love MacGruber.
Okay, I've never. All I know about MacGruber is that it's a spoof on MacGyver, and was that like Will Forte's SNL character or something?
Yes.
It's an SNL skit.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay,
Then it's a
gotcha.
movie, and now it'll be a show.
Hell yeah.
Okay, I mean, good for him, because I have heard people talk about how much they love MacGruber. I'm like, cool. I just never seen it.
The synopsis reads, after rotting in prison for over a decade, America's ultimate hero and uber patriot MacGruber is finally released. His mission is to take down a mysterious villain from his past, Brigadier Commander Enos Queef, with the entire world in the crosshairs. MacGruber must race against time to defeat the forces of evil, only to find that evil may be in lurking.
Your mic sounds like it went away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That whole description came out as wah, 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 wah.
Yeah, you sounded like an adult from the Peanuts.
Can you hear me?
Now
Yes,
I can.
now you're fine. That was weird for a second.
Okay, that was weird. He's rotting in jail for a decade, and he might be a bad guy.
Yeah.
That first MacGruber, the MacGruber movie is awesome. Val Kilmer's like a really lame, hilarious bad guy in it. Yeah, man, all those SNL movies, like I like almost all of them. Like, I'm a big fan.
We don't know if Kristen Wiig will return.
Yeah.
Possible.
Peacock.
I wouldn't be surprised if she did. She was willing to appear on like 6 episodes of The Last Man on Earth.
Yeah.
With Will Forte.
They're
So
homies. Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if she shows up.
Tron 3.
Hold up, before we start, guys. Hold up. Before we start, so since my AC just died, Fanny just brought a fan in the room. Can you guys hear it at all, or is it bothering you?
No.
Nope.
No. All right, cool. Leave it on, babe. I just want to make sure you guys will be like, "What the hell is that noise in the background?"
No. All right, Tron 3. Before I was derailed.
Sorry.
Delight railed. That works.
I'll take that.
Tron 3 still does not have a green light. However, the Jared Leto starring Tron 3 just tapped Garth Davis for the movie Lion to direct the film. Apparently, he pursued this.
Interesting. That's cool. So Lion is a hardcore drama, and it's not unlike Hollywood to scoop up hardcore drama people to make big ass Hollywood blockbusters. So like I don't know if it's going to be good. It's hard to tell. Lion was really good, apparently.
We said it earlier when we were talking about the live action Avatar. Anything can be good, but I just want a sequel to Tron Legacy. I just want that. But of course, this isn't a sequel. This is a reboot.
No, so it is being talked about as a reboot, but that could change in the production. Like the movie still doesn't have a green light. It is not officially happening.
No,
yet.
I feel like Tron 3 has been in limbo hell ever since it came out in 2011. No, 2010.
10 years.
10 years. And I mean, for me, because I did become a Tron fan until Tron Legacy came out, and I mean, I really enjoy that movie. I think that movie's fun. I enjoyed the technical wizardry of the original Tron. I think, wow, that's some really good shit.
Real quickly, Jared Leto is being talked about this film. Cillian Murphy is right there, guys.
Yeah.
He is in Tron Legacy.
But if you're not going to make it a sequel, then you can't use it.
Make it a sequel.
I agree with you.
Yeah.
That's the thing is like, I don't know. I have no interest in a reboot. I have no interest. Look, I like Tron. I like Tron Legacy. I have no interest in a movie that is attempting to redo anything associated with those first 2 films. Just continue the story from Tron Legacy. In fact, I'll be honest, I'm not 100% interested in going back to the grid.
Here's the thing. There was only 3 news stories we talked about on the Justin White podcast, and this was one of them. Just why are you not continuing with a sequel? You made a sequel to a movie 30 years later. And if people like Tron Legacy, I think it's good. I like it, but most people like that movie, even if it underperformed. The movie ends with a robot girl escaping into the real world. You could have an entire movie about like a digital reality. Like you can do so much shit, but they're just gonna reboot it and maybe start from scratch again. I'm like, the premise is it's like the Jurassic World ending, but like great. Like, oh man, the possibilities are endless.
Yes, I want to see the implications of what was established in Tron Legacy played out outside of the Tron world, outside of the Tron game, outside of specifically that grid.
What happens when the world discovers the grid? But
in other places, because I'm not interested in going back to the grid.
Yeah. The grid is a self-contained inside of an arcade. This entire world, this fake reality, that's a real reality. What happens when the real world meets that? Like that is. Oh, I was talking. This is the great point I had. What big sci-fi movies does Disney have as a franchise?
None.
Exactly.
Not Star Wars.
Yeah, but I mean, not Star Wars. That's
okay,
not Star
what
Wars.
Disney original ones?
None.
Exactly.
Oh, wait. Black Hole, guys. Black Hole.
I'm waiting for a Black Hole remake. I'll take that. But man, like Tron work. They had that TV show. I don't know if people like that show.
Yeah, Mac just mentioned Tron Uprising right now.
Yeah,
that show's awesome. That show's awesome.
Is that on Disney Plus? Because I remember watching it on Netflix for a hot second, then I stopped watching it. But I really liked the first few episodes.
I don't know. I haven't checked.
Tron is so cool. Like,
actually, I can check right now.
Cool. Like they have such a cool premise. Like it's not hard to like just do something cool in that world. Like you don't have to reboot it. You can keep going forward. Always forward.
Yeah, Tron is cool, and you're absolutely right. They had such a cool thing. Oh shit, Great Showman's on there.
I don't know what audience they think they're going to pull in with trying not to continue from the previous one, because the previous one had fans and then has only gotten more fans. That's if you're making another Tron movie, that's who you're banking to. You're not banking to some new audience that's suddenly going to discover Tron now for the first time.
It honestly reminds me of like the Godzilla franchise. Like you can have these amazing like super special effects, like super dope movies, but just sometimes like an American audience just doesn't react to it. Like whether it's the marketing or just people don't care about cyberspace or giant monsters. Like at least Americans don't. I don't know what it is, but like I don't know.
So I am proud to.
Don't seem to care. I don't know.
So I am proud to report that Tron Uprising is in fact on Disney Plus.
Plus
it up. Did you hear that? Ben Magnet's proud to report it. He's a proud reporter of this fact.
That show has Bruce Boxleitner reprising his role as Tron.
Yes, it does.
Awesome.
It also has Elijah Wood in that as the main character too. Like Elijah Wood, I want to say Mandy Moore as well. That's a really good cast.
So. Yeah. Okay. So kind of considering the theme of animation, DC fandom's coming up next week, guys. It looks kind of awesome. I'm excited.
Sure felt awesome before all these layoffs, huh?
Superman, the Superman Man of Tomorrow, the new animated DC movie with the cool art style. We talked about the trailer a little while ago. It will be premiering for free on DC Fandom. You can stream the movie from the event for 24 hours. I think that's awesome.
That is. If you watch the movie for free, hell yeah, that's great.
24 hours?
The event's 24 hours, and it plays 3 times in that span.
Yes, you have to be watching it live. You can't just sometime that day click it and start it. You have to be watching it when it's airing live.
Okay. All right, but still.
See, here's the thing. I'm curious how that works because for the mainstream Comic-Con thing, it's live all day long, right? But if you miss an interview, when it's live, you can really just move the timestamp to 3 hours ago when an interview is happening. So I'm wondering, are they not using YouTube?
I don't know.
If they're using YouTube, they can't stop that.
So it's through their DC. It's DCFandom.com. Will be streaming through there.
Okay. That's not
and
easy.
I don't think it's going to be YouTube because YouTube will copyright most of that shit. And I think they're just doing it just like a panel has a video, a panel has a video, a panel has a video.
Yeah.
Instead of one continuous.
But they were pretty specific in the language and saying they want this to be like a live thing.
Yeah.
So you have to be watching it at the time you would be at the panel.
Yeah.
Or you're not watching it.
I mean, that's cool.
Okay.
I'm into it.
Yeah, I mean, also, Brandon, you said they're going to give you 3 chances to watch it, right?
They have the premiere and then the encores.
Yeah, still, you got a chance to watch it. So good. I say good on them.
Because it's a 24-hour event. And then Bruce Timm has announced that he is doing a new animated Batman movie, Batman: Soul of the Dragon. It's going to be in his art style. The story it's an original story that sees Bruce Wayne face a deadly menace from his past with the help of 3 former classmates, world-renowned martial artists Richard Dragon, Ben Turner, and Lady Shiva.
Yeah.
Oh.
So Richard Dragon is a villain, so that's cool. Well, so is Turner. That's Bronze Tiger.
Bronze Tiger. Yeah.
And then Lady Shiva is the greatest assassin on the planet. So like, I'm into that.
Yeah.
I like using obscure characters. That's cool.
Bruce Timm's art style.
Yeah.
This will star David Giuntoli, I hope so, as Batman, Mark Dacascos as Richard Dragon, Kelly Hugh as Lady Shiva, Michael Jai White as Ben Turner, Bronze Tiger.
Hey, is Bronze Tiger in Arrow? Yeah, Michael J. White was that's dope. That's awesome. Yeah. I wonder if, because Richard Dragon was in Arrow as a villain too. He's the wasn't it look like the dragon?
Yes.
Yeah, so I wonder if that's the same actor too.
Oh. James Hong as O Sensei, and Josh Keaton as Jeffrey Burr.
I'm kind of bummed that. Is this like the first Bruce Timm film where Kevin Conroy isn't the voice of Batman, or has there been one
Gods
before?
and Monsters.
That one wasn't Bruce Wayne though. That was Kirk Langstrom.
Batman. You said Batman.
Yeah.
You said Batman.
Okay, I'll let you have that one.
Didn't say Bruce Wayne. Yeah, I'm excited. Looks cool. The screenshot looked awesome. Hopefully, coming out in 2021. So,
all right,
I'm into it.
The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air is coming back in an unexpected way.
Skip.
Welcome to Blumhouse. No, I'm kidding. I'm not an Alexa, man. The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air is getting rebooted as a drama, as a hard-hitting drama with Will Smith teaming up with Morgan Cooper, the creator of the viral video of Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, as a drama from last year.
Skip.
Yeah. Okay. That's it. I mean, that's it. It's called Bel-Air.
Okay. You know what? No, I'm sorry. Fresh Prince of Bel-Air is a comedy. To hear that it's. I mean, yes, there were dramatic.
And Will Smith is doing it.
Yeah, he is.
A comedy, but if you watch that show, there's a lot of drama in that show still.
There is. Like who? I mean, of course, there's the famous scene that's been taken around.
Why don't we have a roof?
Okay, that's.
That television show is a dramedy. Let's be honest.
Yeah, it is.
It's a dramedy with a laugh track.
You cannot tell me
sitcom dramedy.
Yes, you cannot tell me that episode with his father is a comedic episode. That is the most heartbreaking shit you will ever watch.
That is. Ooh, that is.
Look,
that clip just breaks my heart every time I watch it.
It's cool that Will Smith was moved by the video.
Yeah.
It's cool that he's like, man, I want to give you an opportunity to do something. He could have given him an opportunity to do a lot of things that didn't have to be, let's remake Fresh Prince as your silly idea, which is cool for like one video, but not necessarily a show everyone wants to watch.
Yeah. Anything can be good, right?
Yeah, anything can be good.
It's good. It doesn't mean I'm going to watch it.
Yeah, I mean, it takes of like a poor kid living with a bunch of rich people. So like I'm not inherently against it if it's still going to be like a black family dealing with all that stuff. Like it could be actually,
which I'm sure it will be.
Yeah, so I'm sure it could be important and cool while still reflecting Will Smith. Like I'm not immediately against it. I'll wait and see.
I'll tell you what. I'm more interested in the idea of taking the basic premise of what it is, rather than like what that viral video showed and like recreating the family. I'd rather you just take the basic theme of what that was and then apply it to modern existence and like tackle it that way.
I bet it
that would be fine. But I feel like it's going to try too hard to recreate the same dynamic of the original, which I don't need because you don't have those people, and that was their dynamic.
Yeah.
Rest in peace, Uncle Phil.
So, welcome to Blumhouse. Is a new thing coming up on Prime Video. It's basically Blumhouse doing how many movies? 8 movies, 8 original movies. They'll have a common theme. The first 2 are going to premiere on October 6th. That consists of The Lie, which is written and directed by Veena Sud, Joey King, Peter Sarsgaard, and Muriel Enos, I hope, will star. 2 parents must deal with the aftermath of their daughter's shocking confession to killing her best friend. That sucks. And Black Box. Black Box is about a single father who lost his wife and memory in a car accident. After ongoing experimental treatment, he will begin to question who he really is. Mamadou Athi, Felicia. Oh, that's easy. Felicia Rashad and Amanda. What's wrong with me? Amanda Christine will star in it. It is directed by Emmanuel Osei Kufor Jr. It will be written by him as well, and Stephanie Herman. Oh, that's cool.
I like Blumhouse just fine.
Evil Eye and Nocturne will premiere on October 13th. Those are the next 4, 3, 2.
Are you okay, Brandon?
I'm good. I got COVID. Evil Eye is being executive produced by Priyanka Chopra Jonas with Ilan Dasani and Raviv Dasani directing.
Bless you.
It will follow a mother who becomes convinced that her daughter's new boyfriend, Jesus, shares a connection to her own past.
Okay. Because when you said boyfriend's new boyfriend, I'm like, it's spicy.
And then Nocturne will be directed by Zu Quirk in her feature film debut. It explores an elite arts academy where a young music student discovers a mysterious notebook that belongs to her recently deceased classmate. And then the last... Huh?
It's Death Note.
And then the last 4 will be next year in October.
Okay, cool.
Does all sound fun?
Making cheap movies as you do.
Making my way downtown.
Walking so fast.
I actually think some of these sound interesting.
Yeah.
I know a lot of horror movies that sound interesting that suck.
That's true.
Give me a trailer.
All right. So before we get into our major DC Comics news, we got more news. This isn't me transitioning into our topic. Our major DC comic news, we'll touch on this briefly, but I wanted to give this its due because DC Comics did have some other news that wasn't about their shitty lives.
Yeah.
They announced the creative team for Detective Comics 1027 with Peter J. Tomasi and Brad Walker, by Michael Bendis and David Marquez, Matt Fraction, Chip Zdarsky.
Your voice is missing up again.
Seriously?
Now you're fine.
That's so weird.
Brandon, I think it's something when you turn away.
All right, I'll stop turning it away. Chat while I take a swig of water.
Yeah, hey man, Detective Comics 1027. That's definitely Batman's 1000th appearance. There have never been any other comics outside those 1027. That's it.
Quenched my thirst. Okay, Peter J. Tomasi and Brad Walker. Brian Michael Bendis and David Marquez.
Great team.
Matt Fraction and Chip Zdarsky. Greg Rucka and Eduardo Riso.
Great team.
James Tinian IV and Riley Rossmo.
Great team.
Kelly Sue DeConnick and John Romita Jr.
Half a great team.
Okay.
You're fine.
Marv Wolfman and Emanuela Lupacino.
It's a great team.
Grant Morrison and Chris Burnham.
Hell yeah.
Tom King and Walter Simonson.
Oh, Walt.
Scott Snyder and Ivan Reis.
Yeah.
Dan Jurgens and Kevin Nolan.
Yeah.
And Mariko Tamaki.
Yep.
And Dan Mora.
Hell yeah, Dan Moore. Oh, I also read Wonder Woman by Mariko Tamaki. That book's it's pretty good. It's good. It's odd reinventing the wheel. It's good.
Art is really good though.
You're 2 issues in?
Yes. Yeah. People love Maxwell Lord when they write Wonder Woman, let me tell you.
The other history of the DC universe.
To hit on a particular film right now.
Yes, so. You're right.
The other history of the DC universe has a new release date. It was talked about before COVID. Obviously, things happened. So it's coming out November 20th, 2020, this year, and it'll be 5 issues long. John Ridley, we know who the art team that is joining him. He's the writer of 12 Years a Slave, and he'll be writing this series, which is about the perspective of the DC universe from the minority characters, such as Black Lightning, Vixen. He's being joined with art by Giuseppe Camuncoli and Andrea Cucci.
Yeah. So I have this little quote here that I like. It's the 5-issue series reframes iconic moments from DC's history, exploring them through DC's the representation of traditionally disenfranchised groups. It centers around Jefferson Pierce and his daughter Thunder, Harold and Bumblebee, The Question, Renee Montoya, and Katana. And those are all minority characters.
That's awesome.
That is so dope. I love when they do this. I'm glad this book didn't just get straight up canceled, because that would have pissed me off. This book was announced 2 years ago, and I was like, what is this book? And I'm like, oh, right. This was announced 2 years ago. I'm so
more important this year.
Yes, 100%. I'm so glad it's coming out.
Me too. I'm excited. And then Sweet Tooth, which is the new Jeff Lemire Sweet Tooth novel, graphic novel, called Sweet Tooth: The Return. It's going to be a 6-issue reimagining series. It reads, Sweet Tooth: The Return is no rehash of the original series, but rather a bold reimagining of the Sweet Tooth mythology, taking elements of the original series and remixing them into something familiar but totally new. A divided world, a planet long ago past the point of devastation, and at the center of it all, a child who didn't ask to be born into any of this, but who has no choice but to try and forge some life for himself. His visions and dreams may not be real at all. They may just be fiction, but they are hope, and sometimes hope is enough. Sounds sweet.
That's awesome. Man, I thought this was just like a sequel book, but the fact that it's like almost like a Dragon Ball Z Kai, like a reimagining and just like adding bits and making it more fleshed out. I'm like, that's super interesting. I like that. I mean, Jeff Lemire is he does Black Hammer. He's known for big world building. So it's cool that he likes this series enough to come back and like do it again in a weird way. I've never read Sweet Tooth, and it's one of the books I've missed. I gotta get on it.
That's out November 3rd. And kind of their bookend to their kind of news horribleness was that the solicitations for the November books have been released, and we noticed a bunch of cancellations.
Oh boy.
Kelly Sue DeConnick has confirmed that she is in fact leaving Aquaman at issue 65. That book may still go, though. We don't know. It was not officially canceled.
I don't think they're going to cancel it.
She said specifically that like it was her leaving on her terms.
Yeah.
There's actually, we'll talk about it. More of these books are that way than what it appears to be.
Right. It comes at a bad time is what happened, and that's why I wanted to bring it up now, because like this has not to do with what just happened. These were going anyway.
It's coincidental, unfortunately.
Yeah. Constantine Hellblazer, which is the new Sandman Universe book, will be ending with issue 12. The guy who writes it was like, it's COVID's fault.
Simon Spurrier, yeah. That one sucks. Yeah, that one's...
Yep, that's terrible.
Yeah, that book, people love that book. Yeah.
Suicide Squad, we found out, surprisingly, that it will end with issue 11. Not canceled, ending.
Yeah.
Tom Taylor, Tom Taylor said that he's ending it and he's going to bring the character somewhere else. I also think he's ending it to go to Justice League, personally.
Man, like, we'll talk about it with the Layoffs, but like, I don't know what's going to go on with the comics in the next year or so. And like, they need to put Tom Taylor on something real, because that dude gets nothing but alternate history books, and those are great. That dude's a great writer, but they've never given him a chance to really cement his take in the DC universe, and that's got to change.
Yeah,
that's
agreed.
Too talented to be stuck on the sidelines.
I do think he's left Suicide Squad to do Justice League.
I hope so, man. That'd be great.
Me too. Young Justice, surprisingly, will be ending with issue 20. This is the Brian Michael Bendis one. It looks like, because they threw a shit ton of money at Brian Michael Bendis to make comics, that this is just him like, I don't want to write it anymore.
Instead of give it to someone else and have that awesome teen representation, let's just cancel the book.
Yeah.
Well, I still have a complete run of something.
I saw someone post a really, I think, valid interpretation of the problem with Bendis writing teen characters anymore, which is they sound like what we and a few years older than us used to sound like when we were teenagers, but not like what teenagers sound today. So they're not pulling in the young readers. They're pulling in us who remember being teenagers.
Yeah, I don't personally like it anymore.
No, I think Bendis's time writing the youth characters might have seen its day.
Yeah,
agreed. Teen Titans will be ending with issue 47. That's not surprising. Who was reading that?
Yeah.
And then Hawkman, kind of not really surprising to me, but sad, will be ending with issue 29. I like the book a whole lot.
Yeah.
Those are weird numbers to go out on.
Yeah. So like Aquaman, I'm pretty sure Aquaman's going to continue because Red Hood and the Outlaws just got a new solicit for its new creative team. And if you're not going to cancel Red Hood and the Outlaws after all that shit, then like you can't cancel Aquaman. Just get a new creative team. I don't see them canceling Aquaman.
No, I don't either.
Yeah.
They didn't cancel Flash, Wonder Woman. Yeah. They're not going to cancel them.
I'll tell you what. I haven't read a Red Hood and the Outlaw or Red Hood book in like 10 years, but I might buy 51 because they immediately sold me on the creative team and the new look, and I'm like, all right, cool.
Who's the creative team for 51? I haven't seen
it. I don't remember, but it's not Scott Lobdell. So
yeah, he's gone.
Yeah.
It could have been a monkey and Ryan would be like, I'm buying it.
Yeah. I want to support that guy. I like.
No.
Want to support that monkey?
Yeah, Detective Chip. Hell yeah.
Okay, and then go ahead. Sorry.
No, I was gonna say because Young Justice is the only DC book I have on my pull list right now, and once that's over, that's it. Because I stopped reading Bendis' Superman. I mean, I didn't hate it; I was liking it, but not as much as I'm liking the other stuff.
Superman right now? No.
Huh?
No.
I don't even know what's going on in that book anymore. Like, I don't see anyone on comics Twitter talking about it. Like, I just don't think anyone cares, and that sucks.
It really bums me out because I was so. Remember how all four of us were just so stoked.
Excited. Got a Bendis Superman poster up.
Yeah, I know. It's still up there, right?
I think it's stunning that he's on both Superman main titles and no one's talking about either.
I don't know what's going on in that book. And he's writing Legion, and like no one's buying Legion. I'm not even buying it. That's crazy.
Yeah, I just don't care about what he does with the DC universe personally, and kind of because he's encroaching more and more onto it. Like, I'm losing interest in the DC universe because I'm like, I don't know if I like your vision of it, of just what it could be.
It could be, and he could also be butting heads with people at DC too. So, I mean, we don't know what's going on.
Considering the money they spent on him, I doubt it.
You're very right.
I'm
a whole lot of money on him.
I'm not caught up enough, but my take at the moment of what I've experienced of Bendis at DC is I think he would have been great at DC 6 or 7 years ago. I think that this just isn't a good time for his particular ideas. I don't think that they tune well either to the world as the world is in real life or what the comics have become. And I think he would have been more perfectly lined up in a pre-Rebirth world.
Yeah,
I
could see that.
Like, honestly, if his Superman stuff had been the New 52 Superman, I would have liked New 52 Superman more. I think that would have been the right period of time for these stories. But
although that Action Comics run is aging very well.
But post the Rebirth, Jonathan Kent introductions and things like that, I don't think his takes are where things should be anymore.
So question to the three of you, because you three have obviously read a whole lot more Brian Michael Bendis than I have. What was the last thing he wrote for Marvel, and what was like the last really, really good thing that he wrote?
Well, the last thing he wrote for Marvel was Ultimate Spider-Man. No, just Spider-Man at the time.
Just Miles Morales Spider-Man.
I will say the last he did a Defenders miniseries that was excellent.
It's true.
Excellent. It had David Marquez art. Man, the biggest thing that sucks is Bendis took all of his dope art friends to DC because like Matt Fraction and Steve Lieber and Chip Zdarsky are all at DC now, and Chip does both sides, thankfully.
Okay, so follow-up question to Ryan: when did that come out?
That came out when the Defenders TV show came out, so like 3 years ago.
So 2016.
2 or 3 years ago, I don't remember.
Okay,
but like
these were the last things he wrote before he went to Superman.
He did Civil War II around the same time as well.
Civil War II was just before. Yeah. He was still doing Miles Morales. Miles Morales was the last thing. The last issue he wrote was a Miles Morales issue.
Yeah.
Okay. He did the Ultimate The End.
Yeah.
And he did the Defenders miniseries, and all of that came out solid.
Yeah.
When did Infamous Iron Man came out? Because he wrote that.
Around
way before that.
No,
that's before.
That's after that.
That's after
Secret Wars, so that's like 2017.
No, I meant before
Defenders was like when the TV show came out, so 2017, 2018. Shit. He wrote like 7 books at once at Marvel. You guys got to remember that.
Yeah. Because the reason why I asked that question is that ever since, because I feel like the past few years, even because I remember Ryan how much he was talking about how bad Civil War II was, and that's a Bendis book.
I don't like Civil War II.
And for a while, we were talking about how even though Bendis was going over to DC, I feel that ever since he went to DC, his writing has kind of been in a slow but steady decline.
I don't know if it's just a decline or just like he's written such a specific way for so long. I just don't know if it maybe works for the way DC tells its stories, maybe because like there is a difference between Marvel and DC. Like DC has characters that are gods and Marvel's are more personal. That's always kind of been how it's been. You can make it more personal on each side, but I just wonder if Bendis's like the way he writes just doesn't work for DC.
My biggest issue with him is how he handles the street level DC heroes. I don't think he handles them well because he can't get their voices down because they're not the same as the Marvel street level heroes.
Yeah.
Like the Question is not Daredevil.
Not even close.
And then you have like I really hate how he writes Lois Lane. I hate it. I think it is so sexist. It is just every single time Lois Lane is on screen, she is in her underwear.
Oh yeah.
I hate it. Anyway,
Man, Bendis works really well. Let's see the thing. He does write really great team books. Like that's what he cut his teeth on at Marvel.
I fell in love with the first 6 issues of Young Justice. I was in love with it. I was eating it up.
Yeah, it's just so crazy because like the things that he was so good at Marvel seem to be biting him in the ass at DC. It's weird.
Green Arrow is not Luke Cage. No, that's a horrible example. Anyway, let's talk about some exciting news from comic books. Image Comics has said that they're going to release Reckless, which is Ed Brubaker and Sean Phillips' new project. It's a pulp adventure 3-part graphic novel series. So they're going to come out as large graphic novels.
That's all they've been doing the last literally like 5 years of their career. Because Pulp, funny you say Pulp, they just released Pulp in comic stores like a couple weeks ago, which is a Western self-contained original graphic novel. Brubaker and Phillips are like, dude, the industry, like the people I follow on Twitter, like all the big writers, they admire Phillips and Brubaker so hard because they are living the dream. Brubaker and Phillips get to create their own comics. They come out like every 3 months. It's just their own self-contained stuff, and everyone buys them. They're the Quentin Tarantino of comic book creators, for real. Like every couple months, they just release, bam, here's my new OGN. It's dope, and it's not tied to anything else. And I'm so happy that he gets to do that because not everyone gets to do that. I'm so excited about this book.
It says, meet Ethan Reckless. Your trouble is his business. Great. For the right price. But when a fugitive from his student radical days reaches out for help, Ethan must face the only thing he fears, his own past. So it's pretty pulpy.
Yeah. I'm into it.
Yeah. All right, trailers. Cyberpunk 2077 had a new trailer.
Yes, I hope it was the same trailer we watched about the three different.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. So, hey, it's an open world RPG where you can choose. You want to start as a rich guy, a poor guy. You want to live out in the middle of the desert. Beautiful stuff. I'm gonna play this game so much. It's crazy. This game looks so good, you guys. It is just so dense, and they didn't even show any of like the skill tree stuff or any of like the RPG elements. Just the story and how good the game looks. I am so ready to be lost in this game for the rest of my life.
Yeah, it looks fun.
They still haven't shown any Keanu. Keanu is the voice in your head the entire game. Like they're hiding Keanu, and that's the best thing they can do because it's gonna be.
You know what?
People do.
Keep hiding Keanu. I know. Just keep doing that. I love how you get to choose exactly how you start. That just adds another level of character customization. I think it's great, and I cannot wait. I'm really looking forward to Cyberpunk.
It looks so different from The Witcher because like it's in first person. It's a first person shooter, but like they're just so talented. They can do the fantasy and the sci-fi, man. Like on CD Projekt Red, it's like
all right,
good.
This kind of I don't know if this is a fair comparison because obviously one's been out for a long time and we don't know, and the other one hasn't. I feel this is going to be one of the most perfect RPGs in the sense of you can do whatever you want, kind of like in Skyrim, how you can do whatever you want in that game. But whereas in Skyrim, I mean, you have that main quest, but in this one, you get to choose where you start. You get to choose how you progress. I mean, you get to choose so many things in Cyberpunk, and just the level of customization in this game, I don't think I've ever seen it before.
My favorite game, Mass Effect 2. Mass Effect 1's the original game. The original game, that's what also you can pick to be a spacer. You're born in space. You're born into a military family, or you were born on the streets. And the great thing about RPGs like that is whenever you pick that thing, like if you pick up poor, then every character reacts to like you being up raised in that environment, which is exactly what Cyberpunk's going to do. If you live in the desert, the people in the city aren't going to like you. If you're a super rich guy, the people in the city aren't going to like you. If you start in the city, then the people on both sides don't like you, and it's just such a different dynamic for all the character growth. And I'm like, yes, give it to me. Just give me choice. I love choice in games. Let me do whatever I want. I love it.
And Control, the game you talked about up top, that had a DLC trailer a couple weeks ago, but we didn't talk about it.
Yes. So yeah, I started to play Control again, and I got to the mission called like Find the Awe, right? And the Awe in Control is an altered world event. It's something like so you have objects of power, which can be just anything, and then once it's extrapolated to big altered world events, it's like an entire city is being attacked by something or by something paranormal. So Alan Wake, I watched all of Alan Wake in a Let's Play. I watched all the cutscenes because it's a game that I played when it came out 10 years ago. I didn't think the gameplay was particularly good, but I loved the story, but I didn't finish it. So 10 years later, I watched a 3-hour cutscene of all of it. There's so many Control things in that game 10 years before Control was made. It's awesome. And it's like again, like comic book world building where something really bad happens in Alan Wake. And you're like, all right, listen, here's a phone number. If I die, you need to call these people. They're the only people who can handle this. 10 years later, a game about those people is made. It's fantastic. So the trailer for the Alan Wake expansion, Awe, it's called Awe. It's about Alan Wake and how the town of Bright Falls was an altered world event. So you're going to be exploring we don't know the whole story, but you're going to be going to Bright Falls in some way and exploring the stuff with Alan Wake. And the guy you see at the end of Black Light is Alan Wake, and he's a narrator. And Alan Wake's all about a writer going to a small town that's encompassed by darkness, and anything he writes becomes real. So it's about a horror writer, and the town is using this horror writer to manifest its own evil. It's Twin Peaks is shit, my man. It's so good. And we're going to be exploring that in Control with all of our crazy superpowers. I'm just like, oh man, this feels like a comic book event, but in video games. And it's, again, only something that time can give us, because this game came out 10 years ago. And I'm just, the internet, like, the people who love Alan Wake really love it.
It's like the split glass of video games.
It's 100% that, yes. But Control's good, and Glass is pretty okay. I'm just like, this is a really cool moment in video games, because it's like, oh man, like Remedy is a studio that everyone loves, but their games don't really sell. Like, they're a very niche kind of studio. Control is their biggest selling game, thankfully. And it looks like because of that, they got to make the thing they've always wanted to make. Which is a shared universe game. And they've already announced that they're making the next game that is a sequel to all of their games, and it is a shared world game. And that's just so exciting.
That's really cool.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
It's like the troll hunters of video games.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
Away, the new Sandra Bullock. Right, Sandra Bullock? No.
Hilary Swank.
Hilary Swank.
Hilary Swank. This is her new Netflix
You're thinking of Gravity.
Right. Which this reminded me a lot of. Yeah,
I love space. I don't watch many dramas like lovey dramas. It's just not my thing. This kind of looks like a This Is Us in space. Like, oh man, these people are going through some sad stuff, but they're also in space. I'm like, that's cool. I don't know if I'm gonna watch it. I'm sure it has its audience. I love that this is even being made. You know, a space drama. But not really for me, I don't think.
There's nothing in it that made me feel like it needs to be a television show.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm like, you could do a movie. I know it's been done before, and really, what's unique about this is that it's a television show.
I've seen Ad Astra,
but I mean, nothing about it makes me feel like this couldn't just be a good film, but it's a show, and I'm like, I don't know, maybe.
I mean,
probably not.
It looks good, but I kind of agree with Sparks. It probably would have done. It might be better as a movie. I mean, I honestly don't know if I'm going to watch it.
Here's the thing. Nothing about it particularly looks good to me. Just as I would say, like, when the first This Is Us trailer came out, saying as a person who hasn't watched This Is Us, but when the first This Is Us trailer came out, nothing about This Is Us made me go, man, that looks great. I want to watch it.
Yeah.
That's not how this works. What happens with me is that I hear years later, man, that show's incredible. And I'm like, all right, well, I'll check it out then.
Yeah.
But nothing about this trailer makes me go, man, this looks really good. I'm like, man, this looks like a television drama about space. That's nice.
It's like, oh, you think you have problems? Everyone else on the crew has issues too.
And this is gonna sound extremely mean, and I don't mean it that way. It feels like this is what they made in a lab, and they're trying to experiment. Like, all right, humans, we are aliens, and this is what we think a television show looks like. And it's like, all right, cool. You got the cool drama, you got actors, and whoa, this is space premise, cool. And I'm like, oh, that's all fake. This isn't a real show, right? I kind of feel like that. Kind of almost feels like that.
Sure. You cannot kill David Arquette.
I tried and failed. It's true.
Right, that was just a statement, not the trailer.
How many of you knew David Arquette made a go at a really strong wrestling career.
I watched wrestling growing up. Hell yeah.
There you go.
Nope.
But
He did Ready to Rumble
right?
too.
Yeah, he really did, and a lot of people really hated that he did it. David Arquette decided that he needed to
Redeem himself.
and they made a documentary about him doing it. So I just think that's really wacky and weird and cool. Everything, none of this is scripted. This is what happened.
Yeah.
This is real.
Much like if you like Stephen Amell from Arrow, right? He is also like joined professional wrestling and like shows up and like, hey guys, wrestling isn't real, but like it's they still fight, but it's not real,
Mm-hmm.
So I was just thinking of like, man, Stephen Amell came and like everyone loved him on wrestling. But then I think back to David Arquette, and, like people thought like he ruined wrestling. He's like, who the hell is this actor coming and thinks he can like do what they do? It's like, oh man, that's not cool. He just wanted to be part of something he likes.
Yep. He's much more about the theatrics.
Yeah.
Stephen Amell had the physicality.
Yes.
And David Arquette just never had the physicality for people. So this is him trying to prove he has the physicality.
That he can take a punch, yeah.
That he can get the shit beat out of him and still be worth it in the ring.
Yeah.
Saved by the Bell. All right, moving on. The Devil, the new Peacock Saved by the Bell. Whatever. Whatever. Nobody's going to watch this, right?
We didn't even watch the trailer.
Wait, I didn't see that. Did I miss it?
Oh.
Yeah, I guess so.
Damn, I'm sorry.
That's fine.
The bell did not save you.
I don't care.
It's okay.
No.
Is all the plot back?
No, so it's just Showgirls and Entertainment Tonight.
Elizabeth Shue and Emilio
Mario Lopez.
Mario Lopez.
Yes.
You ever watch Pet Stars with Mario Lopez?
No.
On the Animals Planet? It was a reality talent show, but only for animals. It was actually awesome. He sucks, but the show was awesome.
Yeah, okay. Showgirls is great too.
It is. I'm so excited.
All right. Anyway, The Devil All the Time. Robert Pattinson, Tom Holland, Jason Clarke. Looks pretty
Sebastian
cool.
Stan.
Sebastian Stan.
Bob Skarsgård, right?
Bill
Skarsgård.
Bill Skarsgård.
Bill
Skarsgård.
Skarsgård. I think it's Bill. Yeah.
Skarsgård
So-
are the Baldwins of the 2010s.
Yeah. Pennywise from It. I think this looks pretty cool. It's Netflix original.
Yeah, it looks like a neat drama about Southern anger and like, hey man, bad people can be good. Like it's about like a preacher who might be a bad guy, and how people aren't who they see him. And my dad might have been a bad guy too. Who knows? Like, I like Tom Holland like acting. Like he's a good actor, so I want to see him do stuff that's not Spider-Man. So like it's nice that when these young actors are given roles where I'm just like, oh man, you killing fools, you got a Southern accent, I'm into it.
Yeah.
No, the same with Robert Pattinson as well. Because when I heard him speak in that Southern accent, I'm like, damn.
Southern accents are easier for foreign actors.
I believe so.
The entire cast is like British. That's Jesus.
But the movie
Jason Clarke is Australian. Tom Holland.
No, the film itself, it looks very interesting, and it's got this oh, we're a simple town, but underneath the simple town there's a layer of darkness that's just so black and evil and twisted that you wouldn't recognize it when you leave town.
Actually, it looks like it's very white.
Yeah. Southern white. Yes.
All right. And then the new German TV series Freaks, You're One of Us.
Yeah, man. This looks super cool.
So the vibe I got from that trailer was heroes, but a lot funnier.
What's that British show? Hold on. There's a British superhero show that's all about like young people. It's really great.
What about the one with Michael Chiklis?
Oh, Our Superhero Family or
Something like that.
Extraordinary Family. That was like a cute, okay show.
Yeah.
It wasn't great, but it was like I watched it when it was on. Or whatever.
That was Killer Frost is his daughter.
Yeah.
Oh man, wow, memories, geez.
Memories, geez.
That was back when NBC was also trying to get the Cape to work.
Hey,
yeah,
I remember
the Cape.
I liked that show a lot.
Yes,
Misfits is a British show about a bunch of juvenile
Misfits
delinquents.
is good.
Juvenile
okay.
delinquents. They get superpowers.
I couldn't
That
think
show's
of the name
incredible.
either, but I knew what you were talking
That show's
about.
dope.
All right.
Bad
but
American.
no, Freaks, one of Freaks, one of our own. That's the title, right?
Yeah.
You're one of us.
You're one of us.
You're one of us. Damn. It looks fun. It looks good.
Yeah, it looks like they're trying to do it like on a low budget, which is always nice. go for it. Like, yeah, man, like I want to see more. Like, there's that Russian Avengers movie that has like the guy with who turns into the bear.
Yeah, the bear.
Yeah.
Guardians. Like, I want to see more superhero stuff that's not American, because I feel like it's just such a certain way, and like I would love different perspectives on superhero stuff. And this looks interesting. All right.
Yeah.
What was it? What is it on again?
Netflix.
Hell yeah.
All right. That's it. That's all the news. Unless you guys want to break something else up.
No.
We vibing?
Always vibing.
All right. So we're going to talk about kind of the implications of what these layoffs. We've all heard of the layoffs that happened.
Layoffs at DC Comics, to be specific.
Over 600 people who work for Warner Media.
Across Warner Brothers, yeah.
Across Warner Media.
The whole thing.
Over 600 people, HBO Max, DC Universe. We're gonna focus mostly on the DC side of things because that's kind of our brand, but we'll branch out when it's relevant.
Yeah.
And then Jim Lee decided to release a Hollywood Reporter interview that was very much trying to put out a fire before DC fandom.
The fire is so big. It's so big, and he has like a water gun, and I'm like, Jim, you're so sweet for trying.
He's like trying to put out a bushfire with a super soaker.
Oh man, some of the answers just feel so like, I love my job. I really love my job, and I'm like, Jim, I'm so sorry.
So I want to talk about. I want to start us in by talking about DC Black Label lost its lead editor.
Mark Doyle, right?
Mark Doyle.
Yeah.
He has been fired, laid off, and he was the one running the Black Label. That one shocked me. I mean, most of them did, but that one was like, wait, Black Label's been successful. Why would you do that?
Multiple editors were fired.
At DC Comics.
Yeah, at DC Comics. Andy Corey, who is like on Twitter, that dude's like mad famous. Like I follow him. He is so revered as a longtime DC editor. And he was let go. And that was one, like him and Mark Doyle were like, what are you guys doing?
Yeah.
These guys are the ones that are keeping your company alive. But that's the thing. It's the AT&T people don't give a shit about it. It doesn't care who's getting fired. It's just cutting costs.
I was gonna say, I think it very much comes to how influential is the person and how much do we pay them? Okay.
Yeah.
Because we lose this amount of money in this area and this amount of money in this area.
A little fun thing. Every single assistant was fired at the company.
Yeah.
Every single assistant. And I'm just thinking, like, they have a huge like Comic-Con thing about to happen. Who's running that thing?
Mm-hmm.
That's what, and talk about the news of like, DC fandom coming out next week, and then just this news of 600 of your employees getting fired. Like, man, that took the steam out of it so hard for a lot of people, including me. Like, I'm still excited for a lot of those books, but man, like, you're gonna be doing interviews with people who like, some people might not be on those panels anymore because they don't have jobs anymore. And I'm like, man, that's tiny.
Yeah. The DC fandom right now is kind of going off the whole. We're going to show the Snyder Cut trailer, and we're going to show the Suicide Squad trailer.
There's a Batman panel. They're definitely going to show stuff for the Batman.
Yeah.
It's not just DC. It's also Warner Brothers. So like Ed Boon is going to be there talking about Mortal Kombat, and like the rumor was that like either Injustice stuff is definitely going to be there, and also the Mortal Kombat movie is going to be there. Because that movie's coming out in less than movie's coming out in 5 months.
We also heard the Dune trailer might drop at DC fandom.
Yeah, I heard. I mean, of course, rumors, but like I heard like literally everything that we want a trailer is going to get a trailer, and I don't believe that because that seems too good to be true. Like, we're not going to get like
because it's the DC fandom, not the Warner Brothers.
Exactly. Like I would love a Dune trailer, but I don't know if that's for the DC fandom stuff.
I wouldn't be surprised if they just drop it the same week, just to like have a whole lot of Warner Brothers conversation.
Yeah.
Try to get away from the fire.
Especially to clean up after this.
Yeah.
One of the things that I wanted to highlight of the Jim Lee thing was that he talked. There were rumors that he was laid off as publisher, but stayed on as chief creative officer. He said that's not true, but I hate this. The interviewer asked him, one rumor I heard this week is that DC is going to only sell trades and OGNs and make a deal with Marvel to them to publish comics. Sir, you are not doing your job. Please step down.
That's so like on Twitter, because when a Bleeding Cool posts an article, there's 1,000 comments, and so people are like, now Marvel or Disney can buy DC, and I'm like, oh, you guys are real silly. You guys are like 12 years old or just so out of the loop on the reality. It's crazy.
It's the whole thing that, like, you know what? Here's a valid question. Is DC refocusing its efforts onto more original graphic novels and less comics? That's a valid question.
Yeah.
Not, is Marvel going to buy your comic books?
So,
Lord.
I'm trying to say, well, I'm just going to say it and it'll sound bad and I'll fix it later or whatever. But like, this isn't necessarily for the company a bad thing. Losing 600 jobs is awful, but Warner Brothers is in a state of disarray. Like, they have so many small subsidiary companies that they need to get rid of and just focus. That's what they're trying to do. They're trying to consolidate and have like one guy run everything instead of have 30 different empires with 30 different emperors.
That's where the rumors of them selling Warner Brothers games came from.
Yes, and again, from being a business owner, I understand that. Like, you're looking at, you're losing money hand over fist. You have 30 little companies that not all of them are making money. You don't need all of them. You know, like, I get it. I get it. But it's an unfortunate timing with the pandemic, with DC
Well, because it's
fandom.
caused by the pandemic.
And it's caused
That's
by
the
the
thing,
pandemic.
is that this is purely fueled by earnings. You can look at some of the stuff. If things continue the way they are, you're going to see Disney do this. You're going to see other companies do this.
Yeah.
It's going to happen if things don't change soon, because their earnings are getting worse and worse, and there's not enough protection for us to be able to support the businesses where they need to be, and there's not enough funding to help keep all these employees around.
So
It sucks because it's going to do this for now. And it's going to be really unfortunate because for a while, a lot of these industries are not going to have the staff numbers that they used to. Projects are going to get cut back, and it's going to take a long time for us to build the staff back up to do the kind of things that they've been doing on a widespread scale, whether it's Warner Brothers or eventually some of the other companies, like I said. It's a real shame. This is being caused by the pandemic and like what's happening specifically in the United States right now.
Well, I wanted to add that there's a lot of people who are talking about, like, you know, industry insiders saying that, like, this was sped up by the pandemic. This was always coming.
Yeah.
I think
because there's a very specific thing that AT&T said this week about it. They said, we are looking to restructure everything.
Yeah.
Yes. And I do think the restructuring was always going to happen. This many people were not going to lose their jobs at once. Some of them not probably ever.
Yeah.
Not at least in the original design of what that restructuring would have been. It wasn't just sped up, it was amplified.
Sure.
This is much more aggressive. And I do think on some level short-sighted. I think it is a fix the money problem now where our holes are, trying to plug it back up for our wealth. But I think the products are going to suffer, and ultimately the industry itself is going to suffer for a few years because of these costs.
I think you know what I've kind of been fearing for a little while, ever since this Forbes article came out about, like, you know, AT&T doing just this, taking a "what have you done for me lately" attitude. And nobody's stupid enough to think that DC is going to shut down its idea farm for AT&T. But I do think there's some validity to the idea that, you know, Jim Lee even says it. You know, we're focusing on digital and graphic novels.
So
cutting our print issues, cutting our print issues a lot.
there are, it was named that there are interim editors in chief. They've named Marie Javins and Michelle Wells, who both have worked at DC. In a world of bad news, the good news that Bob Harris was taken out from editor-in-chief is the best news possible, because that dude was an enabler, and he's the person who allowed all of the abusers and assholes to stick at that company, and he defended them. So unfortunately, a lot of people lost their jobs. One bad apple who deserved to have been gone a long time ago is gone, which is a great thing, and now you have these two dope-ass females who run the young adult stuff and the digital stuff. So, like, that is a small kernel of goodness in all of nonsense.
And I want to jump back to what you were just saying, Brandon, because you're saying, like, this is something you've feared, that they're pulling back on print issues, focusing on digital and original.
OGM.
Yeah.
I love OGM.
Is it something you need to fear right now? Because we just talked about in this podcast how none of us love the overall stuff happening with DC Comics right now. Now, hold on. Let me finish my point. So is it the worst thing if right now they pull back for a while until they actually can go at it and have it figured out? Because right now we know that even without these layoffs, DC Comics was in some amount of disarray because of what happened with Didio. And is it the worst thing if for a while, you know what, maybe we just pull out of the market for a bit,
So here's
coming back.
So here's the thing. That, you know what, if DC wanted to be like, we're going to rethink everything and stop publishing comics. Look, DC Comics is a major part of the publishing world. It's one of the biggest comic book companies, and it makes up for a third of all comics sold, even in their bad month. The idea that I question, and I think fear is a strong word that I shouldn't have used, that I question is if AT&T is looking at that and go, printed issues don't make us $1 billion, we're going to not do those anymore.
Yeah. Again, like I was.
That shouldn't be the thinking, because they'd never make $1 billion.
Like Disney's in the market to make entertainment. AT&T is a technological company. They're like AT&T. They're not invested in comic books. They don't care about comic books. The fact that this happened and it was worse is almost a good thing.
Yeah, to go off Orion's point, AT&T is in the business to make money, whereas Disney, they want to make entertainment.
He's also in the business to making money.
I mean, yeah, they're in the business making money. But here's the thing. But the thing about Disney is that they have their chops in entertainment industries. They know how to, because all comic books is entertainment. ATD, sure, they may own a few studios, but they don't know they don't know what goes into making art. They don't know what goes into making entertainment. Disney does.
They understand that quality makes money. They, for some reason, like I this week I became the Disney defender, like the Disney conglomerate defender, because I was defending Disney, like for the Fox mergers and stuff. And I'm like, yo, when they got Alien Predator, you know how quickly we got Alien Predator comics announced that quickly. AT&T wouldn't do that. They would shut that shit down and just end it. And that seems like what they're doing, and that sucks. And that's why I'm so glad that Marvel got Fox and not Warner Brothers, because that shit would have been destroyed.
DC is not going to stop publishing comics in some way, shape, or form. It just looks like that AT&T might not want them to be interested in the single issue comic business right now. And that's the thing, when they said restructuring, I think DC Comics, DC Direct, DC Universe are all going to exist in different forms than we've historically known them as.
Yeah.
Right.
And jumping back to what I was saying, I still think I do believe that AT&T could make that decision, no more single issues, but I don't think it would be permanent. I do think it would be temporary, because eventually they'd want those things back in the market. I think that would be a short-sighted decision that they'd make, and ultimately decide we're better off in the long run putting them back in.
Now, I want to be clear. I'm talking about print single issues, digital single issues. He's talking about doing more of those, a lot more of those.
I know, I understand, and I'm saying I think that they would pull away from print and come back at some point. But I can see them doing it, especially in light of the pandemic, especially if things don't get better. I can see them pulling out of the print game for a while, but I don't think it would last forever. And I don't think that I think that the digital sales will help with that, because I don't think as many people will pick up the digitals, even if there are no prints, as they think will. I don't think that as many people will transition over, and I think they'll go, oh shit, you know what? Maybe we got to jump back in because Marvel's making more money now.
One of the things that happened was that DC Direct also lost its entire crew. And that's a big deal, because DC Direct was the only people, until they sold the license to McFarlane Toys, was really the only people putting out DC Comics toys, DC Comic character toys. The issue was that they were mostly sold to direct market. They couldn't get into like Walmarts or Targets or things like that, which is why they sold to McFarlane Toys. Now it looks like DC Direct will be refocusing. This was from the Jim Lee interview, not being shuttered altogether, which, you know, I wouldn't blame them if they wanted to do that, but creating just high-end statues at a high price for the direct market. I could see that happen, and that's not a terrible idea.
Yeah, it's not. The statues I would see in comic book ads, or even when we go to the comic book stores or Frankenstein's, are beautiful statues, and I understand how high a price they are. It still bums me out.
I love the DC Direct action figures. I think those are so good.
Yeah, but also it still kind of bums me out that that they did miss out on this huge market of putting those toys or statues in Walmart and in Target.
I know we're all grown ass adults, but all of us still go into the toy aisle every time we go to a superstore, right? Like if you look at the types of toys that DC puts out and the types of toys Marvel puts out, they're so different. They're so different. Like if you go to DC's section now, there's no movie for them to do. Not that Marvel has one either, but I go to the Marvel section and there's so many different characters. And then I see the DC one, and they have like 19 different Batman figures and like a clay face one from the animated series, and I'm like, they seem so unfocused on their merchandise. And like, people love Batman. Are you kidding me? Like, there should be so much more interesting stuff.
The last time I remember seeing a DC figure that I really wanted in Target was actually the one that Brandon owns right now. It's the Christopher Reeve figure that DC Multiverse put out. But
I'm really happy that McFarlane has continued the multiverse line. I think that's an awesome line.
Oh, that's a McFarlane line?
Well, it is now. It used to be a DC Direct line. They sold it to McFarlane.
Good job.
That's good.
That's why we was able to put out a Batman Who Laughs.
Ryan, you're right.
That's on Walmart. The Batman Who Laughs figure. And I'm like, oh wow, they got that guy out so fast.
Yeah.
Okay. But yeah, Ryan, you're absolutely right. You go to the toy aisle and you see an entire section of Marvel and a tiny little sliver of DC, and 9 out of 10 of those figures are Batman or Batman related. You don't see Superman, you don't see Wonder Woman unless there's a film out, which we haven't had one in years.
Hellbat. It's really good though.
I mean, there is like the cool Wonder Woman 84 figure that they released a year ahead of time where she's like got the wings. That's cool. Yo, man, that movie was supposed to come out like a year ago or something.
Yeah.
That's been on the shelf forever.
Do we want to talk about DC Universe? I mean, obviously we do, but do we want to talk about it now?
Sure, yeah.
So DC Universe. What?
How it's going to be dead soon?
Yeah, we've long since thought that this was going to happen. However, the restructuring thing kind of like makes me lead to believe that DC Universe will still exist, but as a comics only app, and that's a good idea.
That's the only thing we can hope for. Honestly,
the thing is, like, and it sucks because like you could argue that Marvel Unlimited is $10 a month, and so therefore DC Universe shouldn't have to change its price point.
Yeah,
if it reverts to just being the comics. However, because everybody already had it with all this other extra content, if you cut all that extra content and keep it the same price, people aren't going to keep it.
Yeah,
so they're going to have to cut the cost down.
Yeah,
because Brandon, I did read your article on the layoffs before we started doing this, and I actually was thinking about DC Universe because one of the biggest draws for that app was that you have all these comic books to read. You also have films and DC Universe originals. One of my personal favorite, obviously, being Harley Quinn. Now that all those are going to HBO Max, or most of them are going to HBO Max, because Harley Quinn's there.
So in the article, he says that everything on DC Universe is migrating to HBO Max.
Yeah, but because Sparks, how much is DC Universe as of this moment a month?
$8.99.
$8.99, and
Marvel's $9.99.
Marvel's $9.99. Yeah, so. If they want to cut their thing to be like a $5.99 app and then you get only comic books, I feel that's a good deal. That's $5 cheaper than Marvel.
Yeah, I agree with you. It just sucks that that's the choice they have to make, which they're not going to be making because they're trying to make back money.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you right now, even with making that price cut, a lot of people came to that app. It's not just the fact that they're losing all these shows. It's that in the last year, DC Universe has been run poorly. That they've taken so much content they added off, put it back, taken it off, put it back, that it's been inconsistent, that that they started sharing its shows with other services, whether it was CW or HBO Max, made people feel like they weren't getting the exclusive content they were promised, which I think is fair.
Bro, season
it was supposed to be the central hotspot for DC fans to have access to shows, movies. This should have had every animated show, every animated movie, every live action movie that wasn't like out in the past 2 years, every comic. It should have had all of that, and it never really did. Yeah. And that's a fair reason for people to feel like the service let them down. And
it seems like the only thing they
good enough for them in the future.
It seems like the only thing that DC Universe did right is the comics.
And can I tell you, like, I like getting to read the comics on DC Universe. They need to fix the structure. Like, it is very hard to keep track of what you're reading or find the things you're looking for on there. It is very difficult.
I use Marvel Unlimited like every day. And again, it's been out for like a decade, so it's had time to improve it. It did not start that way. But Marvel Unlimited is so easy to use. And you can find any issue of a comic like instantly. It's so fast. And like their encyclopedia is so great. It's so hard to find shit on DC Universe. Like when I had to read one of the Justice League books for Braden's book club, like I typed it in and I looked for it. I couldn't find it. And it was there. It was there.
Yeah.
What's the turnaround? Because you know how for Marvel Limited it's 6 months and then it's a year?
It's a year.
Oh, that makes sense.
And even then, it's not consistent.
Yeah.
It's not like everything a year after goes up. That's not how it is. It's some things go up after a year.
Oh,
some
never
things
mind. I take back what I said earlier. They're messing up all bases.
That's what I'm saying. It's not Marvel Unlimited yet. It can be, but it is not. And that's another reason why people just aren't going to be invested in the service.
And again, talking like season 2 of Harley Quinn, like I was watching advertisements and they were advertising it to be on Sci-Fi Channel and on HBO Max. They were not advertising it to be on DC Universe. Right. Doom Patrol was, but I also saw Doom Patrol ads that say on HBO Max. And I'm like, they're shooting their own service in the foot. Like, this thing was dead even before they thought it was dead. Like, it sucks.
Honestly, this thing was dead when they canceled Swamp Thing. I'm not trying to say that the two things were correlated, but the moment that they stopped giving a shit about that show, which was their third show, which they should have been heavily promoting, the moment they stopped giving a shit about that, they stopped giving a shit about the app entirely.
And so the thing is, it's pretty clear now that HBO Max was as soon as AT&T bought Time Warner, they're like, HBO Max, DC Universe, no. But DC Universe was already out by the time AT&T bought Time Warner.
It was Time Warner.
They wanted to do Disney Plus, but Warner's.
Essentially, yeah. They're like, I've said it before. I'll say it again. It's
screwed that up too.
Yeah, I said it once before. I'll totally say it again. It's Warner Brothers / Time Warner / AT&T looking at the Disney model, saying, "Oh shit, we need to do that too," and then hastily copying the homework of the grade A student and turning in an assignment that's a D or a C.
AT&T being a tech company, wanted to be like, we'll do a streaming service like AT&T, like Universal's going to do, like Disney's going to do, like Universal's going to do. We're going to make it all Warner Brothers, but we already have this DC Universe. Do we though?
I should have brought this up earlier, but I found this picture of, as of November 2020, how many ongoings both companies have. Marvel has 33 ongoings. DC has 17.
Yeah,
and 7 of those books are Batman books.
Yeah.
Also, like 10 of the books at Marvel are X-Men books, but they also have like twice as many regular hero books as DC does. I'm just like, man, this line, like, oh my god, there's no wonder I'm barely reading anything.
Did you watch the Tom King mainframe Comic-Con? Did you hear him say that the Rorschach comic is in continuity with the show?
Yes, Brandon, I did. What?
Are you okay?
I don't know what to feel. Tom, what are you doing? That makes me so mad because you could.
So this doesn't include the black labels.
No, but
I just wanted to know.
Yeah. I guess it should count that. I guess that counts. Yeah.
Well, if it said ongoings, black labels are minis.
Oh, that's true. Yeah.
That's true. But I mean, like, I feel like it should matter that they're putting out as many. There's a lot of black label.
There
books.
are.
Like they deserve the credit where credit is due. There's a lot. I mean,
there's at least
White
5.
Knight. The White Knight itself spawns so much, and then you've got the Harleen, the multiple Harley
Joker Killer Smile, Batman Smile Killer, Question,
Wonder Woman, Dead Earth,
The Last God, which is its own
the
thing.
Birds of Prey black labels.
Damn, they got
the Sandman universe, and the
Adventures.
Adventures, yeah.
Yeah.
There, and man, so is this black label that's going away?
No, it doesn't.
I don't know.
Oh, actually, I think it might have just been speculation or whatever, but they did say like stuff will be collected, will still be called, like if it's mature, it'll be retroactively called Black Label, but it's not going to be like new Black Label stuff. So they'll do what they did with like Watchmen and other or White
DC
Knight.
New Frontier and White Knight.
Yeah. New Frontier Black Label.
New Frontier is Black Label.
Okay, whatever.
It's darker than you remember.
It might be.
It is.
Okay, cool.
But I initially did a double take of that. I was like, really?
Yeah, I think I remember saw that as the black label. I'm like, hold up, but that's Darwin Cook, and
there's like 10 Black Label books that like no one talks about. That's crazy.
Yeah, and I think you're right. That was a speculation. I think I heard that speculation too. I hope this doesn't mean the end of people who still want to do Black Label books. Like Stepan, when he said his when his injury is fixed, he wants to do another Harleen.
Yeah.
I think the Black Label's been a success. I hope it continues. I hope they get a new editor in there quickly.
Yeah, I that is, even though I haven't read most of them, the ones I have read, like this is the direction. This is like what I want DC to do more of. But then they're just like, no. Let's fire the main guy who does it. Okay.
Yeah, I think 3 Jokers coming up Black Label. Yeah, there's a lot of good stuff Black Label. Hopefully 3 Jokers is good. I shouldn't jump the gun.
Back to the Rorschach thing real quick. So if Rorschach is in canon with the show, that means that none of the Doomsday Clock we talked about stuff possibly being connected matters at all.
Yeah.
So, okay, yes. However, I want to take a minute to talk about how the roundabout way he got there. He said that there was Watchmen in the 1980s, and then there was Doomsday Clock 1990s, whatever, and then ours is it's 2020 now, so ours is 2020 in line with the show, and it's continuity with the show. I think he mistakenly thought that Doomsday Clock is in continuity with the show as well.
I find that hard to believe because he's the dude writing the Rorschach comic. I think he should know this. But yeah, man, that makes that book more confusing because they've released now multiple covers of what the cover looks like, and Rorschach is a main character in that book. And I'm like, okay, so how is it tied to the show?
If it's said the way you said it, I think Tom King hasn't watched the show and it's not in continuity with the show.
Oh, that's even more sad. He hasn't. Oh, Tom.
He did say the buzzwords of people who haven't seen it. It's politically charged and it's like.
Yeah. Yo, man, those covers are awesome. Like they're very like 1970s noir, like dirty, hairy covers. Like they look awesome, but I'm like, oh man, I don't know. Oh no.
I mean, yeah, it's not really hard to find the buzzwords inside the buzzwords.
Anything can be good.
It's true.
It's true.
Yeah, the DC Direct and the Black Label stuff. That was kind of my, like, this sucks. I like a lot of stuff that they're putting out, and to see them kind of in the Black Label just potentially downsizing. I'm like, that'd be a bummer.
Yeah. There was a rumor that they were going to hire like an esports guy.
That's been debunked.
That has been debunked?
Yes.
Okay, that's good because that would have been hilarious.
Yeah. It would have been the first time the Warners did something like that, but no, that was like, we're not. That's not true. We're gonna get someone from the outside, but not from the world of esports.
Yeah. Good.
Yeah. I don't know. What did you guys think after you read the Jim Lee thing? What are you thinking about? Like, what could the future DC be? Do they keep what do they do?
Look, honestly, I think I said what I said earlier because that's kind of what I want. I kind of want them to stop for a little bit. I think it's the smart move, frankly, because I think there's too much printed out right now that doesn't work. There are things that are working, but overall, not a lot of it. There's a reason why a whole lot of comic fans aren't reading a lot of the stuff, why we aren't, other people we know aren't.
They're all just reading X-Men.
It's especially hard because you're trying to sell comics that aren't selling great right now to an audience that can't afford them. The majority can't afford them. They have to make tough choices, and most of them are not going to be choosing your Flash book or your Superman book. They might pick your Batman, and that be it, or your Wonder Woman.
I just want to point out, we didn't really talk about it, but like comics sales were up this year for the first time in like 20 years. That was awesome.
Yeah, that is awesome. But it doesn't feel like DC's seeing as much of that as Marvel is.
Sure.
Or as other indie studios are. I think indies are having a really good time right now overall. Yeah. I do think that the smarter move, considering Dan Didio, considering the shifts that have now happened because of the layoffs, considering the pandemic, and the fact that we don't know when it really will end, and all the layoffs across Warner Media, I do think it's best that they at least take a pause and reassess what they're doing. And I'd rather see some kind of uniform decision about the future of DC Comics, because right now, I don't know where they're going with anything. I don't think they do. And that sucks. Like, I don't have faith in picking up a book from them that I'm not already aware of to be good.
So, yeah, that brings up a great question, because it's already been stated that Scott Snyder, after Death Metal, he's leaving, and he's going to be more hands-off and not so much in the main universe, right? So who's running the ship at DC in terms of creativity? Is it going to be Bendis?
It would be Bendis by default.
Bendis. And I don't know if I want him reaching out more than he has. What's the next event? Okay, they got that winter event, right? That Endless Winter, whatever it's called. That's the Tom Taylor event, but I don't know.
No, we don't know that's Tom Taylor. Dark Ages is Tom Taylor.
Sorry, Dark Ages. Who was teasing?
That's Marvel. Endless Winter is DC.
Marvel. Yeah. Okay, I thought that was Tom Taylor for some reason too. But that book's getting teased. And I'm like, is that just going to be just like a fun event that's not actually like the next wave in DC's history, or is that just like a placeholder event? You know what I mean?
Oh, I think it's whatever it's in the place of 5G.
Yeah.
I think whatever 5G was or was going to do, it is now Endless Winter.
Yeah, it's just going to be like a fun, like here's our fall or winter event or whatever.
Whatever DC Comics can do to recenter themselves back to like the beginning of Rebirth, where they all felt like they were at least on the same page.
Yes.
Mhm.
Where we're all like, we're moving in a direction of what we want to say about these heroes and what we want to say about our universe and where we want to go as a whole. The future is bright. Look at our heroes. Here we go.
Mhm.
And that derailed quicker than I wish it had.
Yeah.
And if they need to get back to that point, because I don't have the whole problem is that as a comic consumer, I do not have faith in taking a risk on any DC books that are not explicitly told to me or even spoiled for me that they are good and worth my time. I don't have that kind of faith. And I say that as the person picking up the most DC comics amongst us.
Yeah. Trying to do more DC reading this week because, like, the hashtag DC love, and like I wanted to read more. So I read a lot of Tom King's Batman, which is a Batman run I really like. But then I read the most modern, the Wonder Woman and Batman stuff, and I'm like, it's fine. It's not bad. It's just, but it's like these are books that are coming out for sure, but like they're not.
I like. I talk about like I like death metal. It's not great, but I still like it. I still enjoy it. The issue that I have is even the books that I'm liking, like I really like Hawkman or Batman, Superman or Green Lantern season 2. Those books just kind of are good, but because the entire universe of DC feels directionless, I just don't know. Is there anything to look forward to?
Like the Green Lantern, like Hal in your Morrison Green Lantern book is definitely not the same in the Justice League book.
No,
like they're not talking to each other, and they don't always have to. But like it is nice sometimes to have some type of cement in your universe. I guess I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I'm
so disconnected.
I'm a DC fan. We all are on some level.
And again, again, it's not the first time we talked about this. Every company has their ups and downs, but this one seems like it's not just bad from the creative standpoint; it's from the business standpoint. Like the people upstairs are messing with it, which is messing with the creative side. And I'm like, this isn't something you can just fix like willy nilly. This has to be like what Sparks saying. Like you guys got to like figure your shit out. You got to like put a pause, maybe release some what are those, like facsimile old comics for like a buck or something.
That's the thing is I purely say take a pause because I don't want them to do what the comics industry usually does, which is they just kind of spin out things while they figure it out and then announce a new initiative.
Yes.
I'd rather that they just stopped and save the money.
Yeah.
Save my money, save your money, save the time, figure it out, take a few months and come back, make a comeback statement to the comic community and say, here we go. Here's what we got. We thought about it, and this is what we came up with, and this is what we're doing. Make it feel like an actual comeback initiative, because that's what they need. They need something to jumpstart them right now, and I don't think just like pumping things out and then trying to do another Rebirth event will work. I don't think that that's going to pull things together. I do think it would make a stronger message if they said, you know what, in light of everything, we're taking a break. We'll get back. Let us restore ourselves. I understand that's never how the industry has worked before. I understand that that's not conventional, but this is an unconventional time.
Well, what was it? Convergence that came out during the move?
Yes.
They didn't have any new books. It was just Convergence and Convergence related stuff. So like it's possible for them to do that. They've done it before. But that book was that book's terrible, and we don't need to go back into Convergence again.
That's my point. That's my point. Is like usually whatever they put out in that time period is kind of forgettable, and no need to do it. And I'd rather that they just like made the statement of, you know what, we know we got nothing right now, just hang on.
Yeah.
I wish I could forget Convergence.
Yeah.
Simple times. Times are great.
I think that would be the strongest message. I understand that at first it would be bad PR, but then it's also great PR. Because it's bad because, DC Comics stopped printing. But then a few months later, DC Comics is coming back, guys, and it's a huge deal. And everybody goes and buys those comics.
It's like when Hostess went out of business, and they're like, surprise.
We didn't talk about Halo Infinite getting delayed till next year, which is a huge bit of news.
Oh, yeah.
But it doesn't matter. That Xbox One it literally has no games on it when it comes out, so that sucks for them. But
the other thing is you get everything on Game Pass. So
no, yes, but just real quick, going back to the news, their statement after Halo Infinite was released was, Halo or the new Xbox has thousands of games from every generation of consoles. You don't say that when you have a new console coming out and you have new games coming out, because there are no new games. I don't want to buy a console to play old games. I want to play Halo Infinite. I just thought it was funny. It was a terrible statement.
For sure.
They released a shitty statement. That's all. Let's get back to the shit.
It's nice because it's like, okay, PS5 this year, Xbox next year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Pretty much, yeah.
All right. So my whole thing on like what Jim Lee was saying, this whole stuff, I agree that DC needed some restructuring. I felt like they've been with a ship without a captain for a good long while. One of my points is the Earth One the tiles. They have come out so sporadically, so out of the blue. I didn't even realize that Green Lantern Earth 1 Volume 2 came out this week until Brandon told me before we started recording.
Yep.
I didn't even realize that Earth 1 Wonder Woman, our book club for this week, came out until I saw it at a store.
I will say that I think on those cases, because those books are kind of their own self-contained thing, that's more on the creative team just not getting it done fast enough. And the comics being like, hey, it's not Batman 97. We don't need it out next month. Just take your time and finish it. Like, right. I think, honestly, that's more... That's not necessarily a bad thing, because I'd rather the book be good and get finished whenever it's...
We'll get into it. We'll get into it. It's not... Yeah. I have a similar point to Ben's, but not. But let's focus more on kind of like what these layoffs can mean, because delaying these types of books is really just kind of business as usual.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. That's artists taking a long time to do good art, really.
Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm fine with waiting longer for these books. I feel like these are really good books, and they're worth the wait.
I would just rather know that they're coming out.
Yeah, me too. Me too. But these layoffs, they suck. I don't want anyone to get laid off. That's horrible. But I feel like these layoffs are more of AT&T just like overreaching. It's like, oh, like what Brandon said, what have you done for me lately?
It's AT&T trying, because they're in such big debt. They're trying to make that money. And right now, it's really hard for studios to make money.
Yeah.
Do you know what would help? If they actually just made HBO Max the Warner Brothers Disney Plus that they wanted it to be.
They should have.
That would get more people to get it. Just saying.
You know what? Zack Snyder, hey, we know that your movie's done already. You've been telling us for 3 years. You could have dropped it any minute just to save HBO Max.
Isn't he released a picture like 2 weeks ago of him editing a scene where it was just the Flash's leg on it? And everybody flipped out, and he's like, yep, I'm in the edit room.
That's not true.
He also released an image of Steppenwolf. He's like, I'm in the editing room, and it's really low res, but guys, wait till you see him in the big screen. Steppenwolf, whoa!
Which is funny, because you won't. You'll just see it at home.
Yeah.
On your whatever size screen you have that's connected to your whatever thing you use to watch HBO Max on.
Hashtag F the Snyder Cut. Anyway.
But I want to support DC.
I'm sorry. I forgot. We didn't talk about this in the news because you brought up Zack Snyder. They fired Chris D'Elia from Army of the Dead on Zack Snyder's project and replaced him with Tig Notaro. Tig Notaro rules! That's a huge deal, and we didn't talk about it. And look, I have issues with some of Zack Snyder's stuff in film, but I'm really glad that he fired a known sexual assaulter. And replaced him with a gay lady.
A way cooler person, a way funnier person.
Here's the thing. I don't like Zack Snyder's movies, but he's a cool guy from all I heard.
Yeah. The thing is, that movie's pretty much done.
This is a Kevin Spacey situation.
Placed into the film.
Yeah.
Nice.
This is not her coming in early in production. That movie's in post, and she's going in.
He's pulling a Ridley Scott,
which is incredible.
Yeah.
And my joke was my previous joke was because, if you guys don't know, for 3 years Zack Snyder's been saying that the Snyder Cut is ready to go, ready to be dropped at any minute. One of us needs to say it is, but we all know it's not. It has never been.
Right.
You got poor interns slaving away at like 3 a.m. Oh, Dark has got to look so good. Oh, God.
I believe that Zack Snyder's actually the person sitting down editing it.
No, yeah, but he's not doing special effects.
No, he's
There's like 1,000 interns getting underpaid right now, shading Darkseid to look a different shade right
now.
Or not getting paid at all. Who knows?
Can't wait to see gray Kirby characters, whatever. Anyway, we're not talking about that. I hope that the future for DC is as bright as Jim Lee says it is. But he's just doing a PR stunt to try to. Yeah. DC fandom is coming, but look. Big news before a big event is not new for DC lately because they dropped Dan Didio before Comic-Con.
They did.
Yeah. It's true. Yeah, man. It's just terrible timing for everything involved. They did say who I think it was either Ram V or somebody else on Twitter, said like, it was James Tynion IV. He was like, hey, like I didn't get a pencils down order. Like everyone is still making the comics that we're making. This doesn't affect the like the smaller creators. This is affecting people above us, which is unfortunate. Like no comic book writer got fired. Yeah, it was all editorial and presidents and all that shit. Yeah,
and then assistants.
And for some reason all the assistants.
The assistants.
Because they decided nobody needed, because they are trying to recoup so much loss.
Yeah,
and that's just because the shitty thing is they launched a streaming service during a pandemic, and that's that's what happened.
What I was trying to say earlier is I really do want to support DC, but none of the books at DC, excuse me, that are out right this moment, I don't want to buy them. Minus Young Justice. Young Justice is the only one I'm sticking to it, but that's over in 3 issues.
Green Lantern's really good. Jimmy
Olsen got its 12 issues and it's done. So
I really like Wonder Woman. I have liked Wonder Woman. I like Wonder Woman now with the new team. Mm-hmm. I will also stand by Hellblazer, and even though it's ending. I'll stand by Strange Adventures for sure.
Yeah, I'm reading that book. I stopped. I'm issues behind, but the Tom Taylor Suicide Squad run is awesome. It is really good.
Jimmy Olsen and Lois Lane were both excellent. Mm-hmm. They're both over, but they were both excellent.
Batman, Superman. Batman, Superman, I think is good.
Batman, Superman is really good.
I am still reading that book. That's true.
Yeah,
Has it 12 came out? Yeah, I got 12.
Yeah.
So I think DC's got some good books out there.
I mean, they do.
It's just like a handful, unfortunately.
Yeah.
And a lot of the smaller things.
Yeah.
Not a lot of Wonder Woman shouldn't be considered smaller, but I think they treat her that way.
Yeah.
But I'm drawn more to Wonder Woman than I am to the Flash. Honestly, if I'd been picking up Kelly Sue DeConnick's entire Aquaman run, I'd be picking it up. Yeah. I wish I had been. I wasn't. I'll do it in trade.
I like that.
I made a mistake. I kept hearing good things and I didn't jump on, and I should have. Because apparently that would have been a better place to put my money than some other DC books.
Yeah.
That's how it goes sometimes.
Man, I tried to find the back issues for when Ram V took over on Justice League Dark, but all those issues are sold out. I'm like, damn it.
Yeah.
I really like Justice League Dark. I think that's a good book. That's the thing.
It's the weird, it's the titles that don't get a lot of attention.
Yeah.
That are actually good.
Yeah.
But they're not getting whatever.
You see, that's the problem, because I didn't know those titles were good until you guys told me about it.
So here's the thing that bothers me. I don't feel like DC's tried to do anything to try to restructure themselves and refocus on an initiative going forward, because there's nothing, correct me if I'm wrong, nothing at the DC fandom that really talks about a strong vision of the future of DC Comics. There's no panel listed that does that.
So
right?
if you look at the DC fandom like description, it says we have all these things, and comics is the very last thing mentioned.
Right.
So they do have interviews with some comic book creators, but that's it.
That's the thing is after losing Didio, DC fandom should have been a big reveal of this is where the comics are going. They didn't get that together. That's what makes me nervous. Mm-hmm. They've never gotten it together. We're still in this limbo of what the heck is DC doing?
Well, they are going So at DC fandom, to their credit, they are going to announce the new Batman John Ridley book, and the whatever Endless Winter is. They're going to announce that at DC fandom.
You know what I'm talking about, and it's not that.
Sure. No, I know.
Thing. I'm talking about addressing what happens now that 5G isn't 5G.
You know, when Rebirth came out, when Rebirth was coming, Jeff Johns did a whole thing at WonderCon. Yeah. I don't know if you guys remember this. He did this whole Kevin Feige thing at WonderCon where he was walking around and he's introducing new creative teams.
Really pumped.
And he was just hyping up Rebirth, and he showed the new designs, and creative teams came out and talked about their books, and that was how they announced Rebirth. I want something like that again.
Yes.
So to be fair, there does seem to be a decent amount of comic book panels. There was Legend of the Bat. There's a Wonder Woman 80th panel. A couple Watchmen panels. There's a couple Joker panels. Sane Man
but
universe.
See, the thing is, the Wonder Woman 80th panel. That's them talking about there being 80 years of Wonder Woman.
Yeah.
That's not them talking about. This is the vision of the future. Yeah. I want the vision of DC Comics going forward, because I feel like we don't have.
Oh yeah, it's none of that now.
The Watchmen panel, surprisingly, is all about where's Watchmen go now?
Dude, so
a question they have to answer, because a lot of people will go, why?
Yeah. So a guy I follow on Twitter, he was like, just watched them like after they canceled Black Label, just announcing like an entire Watchmen like series of books at this DC thing, and I was like, I don't know what I will do if this happens.
Can I tell you what my fear is? My fear is Watchmen becoming the Squadron Supreme to DC being the ultimate Marvel universe.
No!
That's my fear. That's what I don't want.
That's the antithesis of. Oh, that just ruined me, Sparks, saying that. Oh God, Squadron.
But that's what I don't want. Is where because Squadron Supreme was really good. That was a really good line that they then tied into the Ultimate Marvel universe, and it kind of ruined the Squadron Supreme.
Yeah. And then they made a dope book after about all the surviving members getting together.
Yes.
Yeah, man. Good job, Googs. You wrote that book.
Yeah, I'll watch the Watchmen one because I can't wait to hear what they announce next.
Yeah, yeah, man.
Before Watchmen 2.
Yeah, and like, I don't know. We'll see. I'm very.
Oh man, and it's like cheeky because it's before Watchmen 2, which means it's more before Watchmen, but it's also before Watchmen 2 because they're making Watchmen 2.
Watch.
Kill me.
No, it's gonna be a World War I prequel called Watchman. like
Kingsman.
Like Kingsman, yeah.
Here's the thing. I've said it before. I'm into more Watchmen. Show me that world now. Show me that world 10 years ago. I'll read it if it's good. If it's good.
Yeah.
If it's good.
Oh yeah.
It's got to be good because otherwise I don't care.
I am more interested if they're going to do more Watchmen stuff. I don't want any more crossover with DC.
No, 100% no. 100% no.
I don't want that. That is a big reason why I know part of death metal isn't working for me is just how heavily it's still being influenced by the Watchmen stuff. Mm-hmm. And partially not even, and I hate saying that about death metal because some of it isn't even death metal's fault. It's that it's still carrying over pieces of like the Wally West shit that I'm like, I don't want to think about that anymore. Why do we have to bring it up here? I'd rather this just have to do with its own thing. I don't want to talk about that anymore.
I am excited for speed metal. I'll be honest. Joshua Williamson having all the Flash family together again.
There are cool and exciting death metal tie-in stuff that I hope lands. I really do. I'm not out to get that event. I just out to target it. I want it to make me feel like I can not only understand it but appreciate it, and I don't feel I'm in that space yet.
Sure. Okay. Do we have anything more that we want to add? We've done this for about 45 minutes now.
No, Layoffs suck. It's a big stinker. I
hope everyone lands on their feet.
Yeah. I'm not worried about DC Comics like as a whole. Like I'm not worried about comics going away, but I am worried that the people who are in charge of the comics don't care about them. That I do.
I am worried that for the next few years, I'm not sure that there's a lot to look forward to in the comics, and I don't know when that will change.
Yeah. Okay, so let's get into our book club. Give me a slight pause for the. Here you go. It's paused. Book club. Ben, take it away.
So my book club is sequel to the one last time, which is Wonder Woman Earth 1 Volume 2 by Grant Morrison, drawn by Jan Peckett, and colors by Nathan Fairbairn. I totally hope I said that.
Fairbairn.
Is that right? This picks up...
Hello, John.
Hello, John.
Hello, John.
Hello, John.
So, of course, the audio listeners, myself, Brandon, and Sparks, we all have our hard copies of Volume 2.
Yes.
So, this takes place not directly after, but sometime after Volume 1. But just like Volume 1, it starts off batshit crazy with the Uberfraulein, the Nazis invading Paradise Island. And
cool.
and one of the
we get Jumpa.
Yeah, Kanga.
Yep.
I was really happy to see that.
Jumpa.
Yep, we get Jumpa, and it's Diana, Princess of Themyscira, living in man's world. She's teaching at a college in Washington D.C., and essentially most of the book is focused on her and one Leon. Leon starts with a Z. I totally had it. Yeah, it's Dr. Psycho. I was going to use his real name, but it's Dr. Psycho, for crying out loud.
But the last name is Zyko. You know,
Zyko. It's
like Victor Freeze.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah.
I immediately got it. Like, oh man, like because that character is like such a he appears one way and then he's just like a super douchey like internet machismo guy who's like, I know women, and I'm like, this guy sounds sounds very familiar to God, to something. Like, I'm not sure who it is. And then his name's, Dr. Zyko. And I'm like, you mother effers. Good job, great.
Once again, Yannick Packett's art and paneling is amazing.
Mm-hmm.
The lassos always being like the panel weavings and stuff. Hey,
hello,
Titus.
Titus.
Thanks for stopping by.
The paneling is very good. Zyko looks like a monkey, and it threw me off a bit.
Man, Yannick Paquette does such like beautiful people, but also such interesting people.
Yeah.
I really love the Wonder Woman hijab.
Yeah,
Me too.
Oh,
Me
the
too.
burqa was actually there's a bit in the back of the book where Yannick was writing about it, how he actually brought in his Muslim friend to help to draw it respectfully, and it's actually the way it turned out. I was like, that is really freaking cool.
I really like that.
yeah.
I like all her designs in this.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Again, this book, it looks just sensational. Like, again, much like Volume 1, like it's not a traditional looking comic. There aren't like 9x9 grids. It is all beautifully woven in, like
a piece of piece of Greek pottery telling a story.
Like the threads of fate weave in the story and stuff.
Or even when Paula gets introduced, the leader of the Nazis. Yeah, Uber Fraulein. When she shows up, the lines of the paneling are, instead of the smooth weedy art, that the hard, the swastika and the eagle are front and center. It's like the hard Nazi lines. I don't know what else to say it, but they're there, and then it transitions back into.
Can I say how brutal it is that she grabs the heart of Hippolyta and takes it to Wonder Woman?
Messed up,
man.
So I like this. But I do have more qualms with this one than I did with the first volume.
Yes.
I think it's either overstuffed or moves too fast. And I
agree with
can't tell you exactly which one it is, but it's one of those two for sure.
I think it moves too fast.
I think it moves too fast. Specifically with Paula, I have a really hard time with the character beat of her fighting Wonder Woman and then telling her she's sorry after she just took Hippolyta's heart to her. And I'm like, I understand you're saying like a radio signal was activated and that's part of why this is happening, but I don't totally get how that reprogrammed her and then she still feels bad about, like, there's something where it wasn't communicated well enough to me for Paula to be fleshed out, and I didn't buy all of it.
I agree. I think there's just one too many villains. Like, you either don't introduce Maxwell Lord because he's barely in there enough.
I agree.
He's clearly set up.
The thing is, you could introduce the Ares program and not introduce him,
dude. And all that stuff with the Ares program is so cool. Like the dudes with the VR helmets talking to each other in a boardroom, like all that shit. That's why I like this. I love the Earth Wonder Woman stuff. Probably my favorite. Like, even though Volume 2 isn't as good, I still like the world and the characters so much. Like, man, look at Zyko, and he's like caveman handsome. Like, I get why girls.
See,
I
thought him. So the moment I saw him, I immediately thought of Vandal Savage.
Yeah,
even though I was like, this can't be him.
No, yeah, I can see what you mean. Like,
and then we heard his name, but like before we heard his name, when we were first seeing him, I'm like, Vandal.
Yeah, no, I can definitely see that. Yeah, he has definitely like more like aggressive features.
Yeah.
Again, Steve Trevor rules. Like, I love that he calls her Angel, and like she has to save him a second time when they have a race to see if the U.S. Army's cooler than the Amazon Army.
I really like some of the stuff with the generals where they're just like, we gotta kill her because you get a bunch of women talking about how much they hate men. Like, you can't see that's a problem.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's a theme in this with Psycho being like, I can control women. Women are easy to control. They're easier than dogs to train.
Yeah.
So I want to talk about that part because that's the other part I don't like about this book. I don't mind that that's a plot point. What I have a problem with is that Psycho is never proven wrong. He's just captured.
Yeah.
His method isn't proven wrong. It's shown that he can just control any woman, including Wonder Woman, willy-nilly, and that's true. He just has that way. And it's not something about Wonder Woman or her will or something she's capable of that is able to undo that or counter it. It's just they catch him and then they make him be punished for it. And I wish there was something that actually gave her back the power and identity against that. I have a kind of big problem with the way that they handle, with the way Grant Morrison writes Dr. Psycho to have this absolute power over women, and then doesn't actually say that isn't accurate. It kind of bothers me a little bit that Diana has nothing in her that can stand against that. I don't feel like that feels right. Something about that feels skeezy in a way I don't agree with.
Sure. Most of Psycho is gaslighting. It's not mind control in this. It's gaslighting. And he doesn't mind control her until he has the lasso over her.
Yeah. I do think...
I can see that.
I see where you're coming from. I do still think, like, the writing of Psycho talking to Diana and the gaslighting is, like, it is well written. And, like, she's just... I agree. She doesn't understand what's happening to her. And it sucks.
I agree. I just wish there, like, the retort to him wasn't that we caught him and we're going to punish him. It was Diana displays a moment of being better than what he thinks.
Yeah.
And I wish that was the message.
Yeah.
And that message doesn't come through about everything. Like, there's nothing to disprove Psycho's assertions about his ability to control women.
Yeah.
And I wish that was done.
Because it's clear that, like, his it's almost like a Purple Man situation where, like, his influence, like, he thinks he's a suave guy, but it's his powers. It's not him. And they could have gone into that a little more, and they kind of don't. You're right,
yeah. I think we have this preconception that Dr. Psycho is psychic. So we could easily project that onto him, like that's why he does it. But like the book doesn't say one way or the other.
He has that staff.
That's exactly like my issue with it is that there's never a moment where Diana is allowed to display that it's not true that this man can control any woman, including her. That feels weird and uncomfortable in a way I don't like by the end of the book. And I wish there was something that allowed Diana that moment to take back her power.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, there was a conversation that after the the race that they have and Steve Trevor's plane explodes. She's like, hey, there's nothing supernatural about God, Steve. I'm just trying to talk about peace and truth and all that stuff. And he's like, Diana, like the army's intimidated by you. You're like a super strong woman. They look at your hardware. They see military potential. That you show strength, and they see provocation. And like, even though this group of badass warrior women, they are the most nicest, loving people, the fact that they are so strong and have this technology that we don't have makes them a threat to people.
I really like that, but I want to say that it's exemplified so well by the beginning, where they don't kill any Nazi. They reprogram. They attack them with love, essentially, and then reprogram.
It's
them.
like the healing purple ray, and then they send them to this alternate dimension.
When they get shot, is so funny to me. Yes.
Yeah, when they're getting hit with love, and even when Paula's first is. She has the Venus girdle, and she realizes that all these Nazi ideas on her are wrong.
Fräulein.
Yeah. But I do agree that this book is kind of overstuffed because getting into like when we see the Nazis, I'm like, oh, so that's gonna play out, and it plays out at the very, very end. We don't see her again for most of the book, and I'm like, okay, Psycho is the main villain of the story, and then it's like we see Maxwell Lord. I'm like, well, where does he come into play? And
Volume 3.
Yeah, but of course, and one of the things about this book that I was really confused, and I was really trying to, especially like when things were wrapping up after Psycho is essentially caught and quote unquote defeated, and Paula is quote unquote defeated. I'm like, well, what happened to those big giant robots? What happened to that? And then finally we see it, and we get the infamous to be concluded at the end.
So piggybacking off what you said, the moment with Paula with the girl is so good.
Mm-hmm.
About her feeling like I recognizing these ideas, I don't agree, that kind of stuff. And that's why it bums me out that I can't see what Paula's arc really is.
Yeah.
After that point, I don't understand it. I don't think it's well fleshed out or explained where she is acting of her own will or not. Mm-hmm. Once we get past into the present.
Yeah. Okay. So her motivation is together we could rule a world of women where men are the slaves. So like she's fallen in love with Diana. She thinks like they can rule the world together, but she's also a Nazi.
But it's so rushed out, and it's like I killed your mom and brought her heart to you so you would come back and be queen. And I'm like, this doesn't work.
And then 3 pages later, they're friends.
This is too mishmashed and all that. Yeah, Paula's arc isn't handled well for me.
Man. The Ares project though is super cool. Those guys look radical. I love the ending where she's queen. Like that's a cool like step up.
Yeah,
I do think this book definitely probably could have either dropped a villain or mate. I don't know. It is too stuffed.
I think you could have had the Ares program tease, but totally taken Maxwell Lord out. He's just
tease him at the end. Do the exact same thing, but don't have those pages done before.
He's just a little too distracting, and I think just more time needs to be given to Paula.
Yeah,
because
she disappears for all the book.
Just to flesh out what's up with her.
Yeah,
it's not clear. And the what she's saying to Diana doesn't resonate because you never really see her and Diana together on the island.
No, you don't. Like, because when she sees that, because when she's essentially pledging her allegiance to Queen Hippolyta, Hippolyta's like, "No, that's fine. We just have to help you out. We're gonna clear that Nazi brainwashing out of you." And then she looks over at Diana. She's like, "Oh my God, that's a spitting image of my queen." So my thought was like, okay, is Paula gonna have a real hardcore infatuation with Diana? And that doesn't really show up until at the very end of the book. And then when they say, it's like, oh my God, there was when the Amazons come to Queen Hippolyta and tell her that, yo, someone vandalized the statue of Diana with this certain symbol, is like, who could have worn that symbol? I'm like, oh my gosh, she's still a Nazi. I thought they fixed her. What's going on here, guys?
She got reprogrammed in one scene.
Yeah.
Off panel.
Off panel.
Yeah. I mean, I still enjoy it, but I don't think I enjoy it because this was my first time reading it. So this is my first time. I haven't read it before. I did today, and I have to say I really enjoyed the first one a lot more because I felt like the first one was a little bit more simple. This one, while I'm glad it expands, especially Wonder Woman teaching classes and holding seminars and having other women ask her like these hard questions, and even that one.
Moment. That's a great moment. That's great because a trans girl is like, "Yeah, what about trans girls in your women's society?" And she's like, "Baby, all people are accepted. Just because it's about women doesn't mean it's just women." And I'm like, "Thank you, Grant Morrison."
And then you get that one woman who asked the oh God, what was the question that she asked Diana? The really hard one.
You and the Amazonians could overthrow the patriarchy.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. We're stuff like that. Is like, oh,
I think what that last moment does undermine the trans moment personally. I think that the trans moment works very nicely. But the other one's just kind of like, oh, okay.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, moments like that in the book are really, really good. But then once we get to Maxwell, Paula, and Dr. Psycho, it's like, okay, you got to pick one. I mean, you can have multiple villains in an Earth 1 book. Jeff Johns did it with Batman Volume 2. That had multiple Batman villains in it, but we had one that was the main focus, and the other held supporting roles. They were in the book multiple times, if my memory serves.
So Psycho and Paula are somehow tied together and incommunicado because she's the only way that he knows her mom is dead when he comes up before Paula arrives.
Yeah.
If you had tied more of what Psycho does to Paula being the way she is, I at least could have gotten the connective tissue of why she gets so weird and why she's doing certain actions, but we don't get that. And that leaves it just in this weird haze.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Ultimately, I think it's an all right book. Mm-hmm. I enjoyed it. I like all these Earth 1 books personally. So
I do. So so do I. But the ones are better than other ones, and this one's good, but it's not my top ones.
The end of this says to be concluded. Mm-hmm. There is no word on whether or not Morrison has started working on it or is going to work on it. The only thing he said is that I have ideas for a third volume. So my thing with the Earth 1 whole line is just tell me that a book's coming. Don't let me think the whole line is canceled and then all of a sudden 2 months before, hey, surprise.
Yeah, while I like the tease of the Ares stuff, I do prefer when an Earth 1 book ends definitively without making it feel like I need another volume to satisfy part of the story I've read.
Because you're never sure that another volume's coming.
Most of them do. Right. This one didn't. That kind of irks me.
Yeah. Gabriel Hardman, who does Green Lantern Earth 1 and Volume 1 and 2, he came out this week and it was like, hey, because I guess people are still confused. None of the Earth books are in the same universe as far as I'm concerned. My book is its own thing, so don't try to make a Justice League out of my book. And I'm like, damn, Gabriel, okay, cool. Like I respect it. I love it.
Yeah.
You don't have to make it connected. That's cool. I like it.
That's fine, but in Multiversity they did say that this was one thing, but oh well.
Yeah. Multiversity was a long time ago.
It was a long time ago, yeah.
Multiversity. Well, here's the thing. Multiversity came about when Wonder Woman Earth 1 hadn't been released yet.
Mm-hmm.
So that was a long time ago.
I remember us joking if Wonder Woman Earth 1 was ever going to come out.
When they were first doing it and they announced Superman and Batman Earth 1, they were very like, this could be our ultimate universe, and then they very quickly went, no,
no, never mind.
It'll just be a fun side thing.
Yeah,
I actually kind of like them all being in separate universes personally. I think
it doesn't bother me. It doesn't bother me at all. I'd be interested to see these different interpretations, specifically the different Superman and Batman interact with each other, but I don't need it.
Yeah.
Right.
I just, another way that they could have fixed the problem I have with Psycho and Diana is if at least every time Psycho felt like he was predicting Diana, he wasn't 100% correct.
Mm-hmm.
But he was, and that irked me too. I didn't buy Diana giving him control of the lasso. And you didn't earn that to me.
Yeah. I don't mind that one. I think he worked well.
In the whole way that it happened, like her discounting Trevor and Beth Candy's opinions, I was like, that doesn't feel super Diana to me, but okay. And then followed up with him being very particularly questionable. Is like, I don't know if this he should get the 100% prediction points on her for that. Yeah. I'm just saying that would have been another way to counteract it. If you didn't give her a moment later of getting one over on him, at least make it so he wasn't always 100% correct about her. Sure. That rubbed me the wrong way.
I get that. I got nothing more to add. You guys want to get out here?
Book's good, just not as good as the first one.
Yeah, not as good as Volume 1, which is my favorite of these books, all these Earth 1 books. I was kind of hoping. I think I enjoyed the art way more just because Yannick did. He worked with Swamp Thing with Scott Snyder for a long time. So I really like Yannick's art a lot.
The art's really great. Yeah, the art is truly fantastic.
I mean, the fact that we're still getting these Earth 1 books, to me, it makes me happy. I know Superman is still my favorite one, but like you guys said, I love these Earth 1 books. I'm fine with them being side projects. I'm fine with them taking a little longer to come out. I'm just glad we're getting them. I just like to know if we are for sure getting them. Because now that we have that to be concluded tagline at the very end, it's like, I would like a third part.
The problem that I have with the line is just that it's never sure. I wrote a whole article about this. It's coming next week, whatever. The problem with the line for me is that it never feels like DC gives a shit. It's always just kind of like, here's one.
I could say that about a lot of things DC publishes.
Sure.
Pick it out of the lineup.
Ryan, it's your book club next week. You got one for us?
I sure do. I got a whole bunch of book clubs. So, like I talked about earlier, I read a lot of issues of Tom King's Batman, and I know you've read some of it, Brandon. I don't know how much you've read of it, and I know you haven't read any, Ben, because I texted you and asked you about it. So, I picked out 8 issues, my favorite issues from his entire run. I tried to make it less. It was originally more, but I wasn't going to do that to you. But I picked out 8 that I think are my favorite issues of the run. They're all standalone except for there's 2 two-parters. But I picked out something that I think all of us can enjoy, and I went out of my way to try to find something for everyone. So for Brandon, I have issues 73 and 74. It's a Thomas Wayne and then Bruce Wayne adventure together. That's all daddy issue stuff. You love that shit. 39 and 40 is Batman and Wonder Woman going to an alternate dimension. That's all fantasy based, where Batman fights dragons and wears armor. That's for you, Benjamin. There's a 37, which is Super Friends, the double date with Catwoman, Bruce, Selena, and Lois. That one's for you, baby.
What number was that?
That's number 37. I got Annual number 2, Date Night / Last Rites. That's a book that made me cry, and that's probably my favorite issue out of all these. It's a nice little standalone Elseworlds kind of thing. And then I got 24, which is the proposal of Catwoman from Batman. And then lastly, issue 23, The Brave and the Mold, the Swamp Thing Batman crossover issue. I think these are all stunning issues of this comic. I don't think you need to read the entire run to understand it. It gives you all the context you need, maybe except for the last for 73 and 74. But you guys are smart. You guys read comic books. You get it. I am sad that Tom King's gone, but he'll be coming back soon, hopefully with that 12-issue maxi. And that's it. Okay.
What are those issues again?
Text us the issues.
Yeah.
Repeat them.
Yeah, text the issues.
just so you guys know, I added them because we all have this. I don't know how often you guys look at it. In your notes on your phone will be the FN Book Club, and I just added them to the bottom of the list.
Okay.
Yeah, update that. Update that. Yeah.
All right. So next week we're going to be talking about DC fandom. Our thoughts on that event and how whatever. We will talk about the Snyder Cut trailer finally. Woohoo! Woo! All right,
I'm excited. I'm ready for it to be a thing, I guess.
I'm waiting for people to shut up.
Yeah, never.
Never. All right, so you guys watching this on YouTube? If you guys watching this on YouTube, whether live, thank you live, or whether in the rewind, we have a bunch of other cool stuff on this YouTube page. We got our Fake Nerds Watch series, which is coming with an Umbrella Academy Season 2 soon. And you guys just told us Lovecraft County.
Lovecraft
Bigger.
Country.
Country?
Yeah.
Country?
Ryan and I will certainly be doing some kind of Fake Nerds Watch series for that in the near future. Hopefully week by week. We're going to talk about scheduling it.
I'm reading that book, but I don't think I'm going to read it fast enough for the show. Oh, no.
All right. Good night. Good night, Mag.
Thanks, Mag.
See you, Mag. And possibly Brandon will be joining us. Maybe Ben. We'll see.
Yeah. So we got those. We got a bunch of other cool stuff on there. We got Basement Arcade. We guys just put out a Avengers beta Basement Arcade 2-parter.
Yep. Campaign with just Ryan, and then the multiplayer with both of us.
Bam.
Yeah. And then our Fake Nerd Book Club. What?
I made cheeky jokes.
And then we have the Fake Nerd Book Club series, our newest series, where we are currently doing Power Rangers, Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, new episodes soon on volumes 2 and 3. We also have a Patreon. Again, we got the 2 tiers on Patreon. If you want, you're shipping a bottle. It's a one-time shipping a bottle. I'm not made of money. I'm sorry.
Oh my God, every month.
It's a one-time shipping a bottle, but it's a $25
You were correct. That it's kind of a ripoff.
It is definitely a ripoff. And then, so we get it at the Patreon, and then we have our TeePublic, where we got a bunch of cool shirts. Based on Arcade shirt, we got a Fake Nerd Book Club shirt, got a Fake Nerd Podcast shirt, obviously. I wore a bunch of the shirts for the past couple weeks. Cool stuff. And we have our website, where I just put up my new article. Our website is www.fakenerdpodcast.com. You can find everything there, or you can find everything in the description below. We make it very easy for you guys to find our shit. Thank you to everyone who watched. Thank you to everyone who listened. Who is listening, whatever. Thank you to Jeremy Bellucci for our themes. If you've been listening to this on the audio, you've heard his themes. If you've been watching this, you're missing out. At Jeremy Bellucci Keyboards, you can find him on Instagram. He has another podcast called Suburban Proctologist. Definitely check that one out. That's 9 episodes. Very funny. He does it mostly by himself. You can find that on iTunes, Spotify, wherever you find your podcast. Fake Nerd, Facebook.com/Suburban Proctologist Official, or Instagram at SubProc Podcast. Mike Patola. Thank you to Mike Patola. Joe47771. Do a giveaway to people in the chat. No.
Someday.
Maybe someday. Thank you to Mike Matola for our logos for Fake Nerd Book Club, Fake Nerd Podcast, Miscellaneous.
Honest, most days Mag would win.
Yeah, pretty much. He's the only one in there. You can find him at Mike Matola. Hopefully we'll get another possible trivia challenge going soon. You can find us on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook, all at Fake Nerd Podcast, fakenerdguys@gmail.com. If you'd like to get in touch with us personally, I'm at BC McClure on Instagram and Twitter. Ben?
You can find me on the internet at BenMagnet27 on both Instagram and Twitter. And also you can find me writing for Old School Gamer Magazine. Newest article just went up today. Link is in the description below. What is it about? It's about me missing how there's no really secret characters in fighting games anymore. I kind of miss that.
Ryan.
A picture from Control. As you can see, there's a lot of sticky Post-it notes in a building. I want to read this. To whom it may concern, in case you are not aware, something caused a sticky note in my office to duplicate 1,000,000 times. My office is unusable now. I will be working from home until this is resolved. You can reach my cell phone at home. Sincerely, Jay Bozer, Vice Chief of Staff. That's Control, baby. It's a great game. You can find me DJ Tony Stark.
Sparks.
You can find me apparently catching up and reading the entire Batman Tom King run this week on Sparks Witty, at Sparks Witty on Instagram and Twitter, SPARKZ Witty.
I didn't make him do that. He did that himself. If he wants to read all that, I'll be happy.
Subscribe to us on iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, TuneIn, Spotify, iHeartRadio. Rate and review wherever you get us. If you're watching this feed, like and subscribe this video. If you're watching it live, thanks for sticking with us. Until next week, guys.